Try to hurry.
Don't Unfriend Me Nation. What are we?
Yeah. Hawks wins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website. Yeah. Don'tUnfriendMe.com. Yeah.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
We don't have a lot of time. We're going to go right into it because Olivia had to get her hair did. She had to go to a salon and get all beautified.
Yep.
Welcome.
I got you on candid camera.
Got you on candid camera. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. We are going to be doing the Republican debate. With no further ado, it is. I want to stay on time, so let's pop into the old video and give it an old watch. See what we think. This should be interesting. It's down to 4. Liv, who's left?
Schwarmy.
Yep.
Haley, DeSantis, and I thought it was Scott, but you told me it was Christie, which is shocking.
Yeah, it's Christie. Chris Christie. He threatened to eat everybody if they didn't let him on. So here we go. I know.
For every last one of them. Who could catch fire and shock the political world?
2024 is do or die for us. We're not getting a mulligan on this.
Governor Ron DeSantis.
We have to have a new generational leader.
Former Ambassador Nikki Haley.
You're either pro-American or you're anti-American. That is the choice we face.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
We deserve better character in the White House.
Former Governor Chris Christie. Live on News Nation, news for all America. The lights are on. The field is set. It's game day in Alabama. And who knows what the tide will roll in.
Cheeky.
Debate of the year, live from the University of Alabama. I'm Megyn Kelly, host of the Megyn Kelly Show podcast on SiriusXM.
I'm Eliana Johnson with the Washington Free Beacon.
And I'm Elizabeth Vargas with News Nation, and we are live on News Nation and the CW.
Is this Equity Week?
Apparently.
No guys? Give me a break. Maybe they're under the table. That's why they're all smiling.
you. It is make or break time for the candidates on this stage right now, with the primary starting just weeks away. And we have a lot to cover over the next 2 hours. So let's begin with tonight's rules. Candidates will have 90 seconds to answer questions, 60 seconds to give a rebuttal at the moderator's discretion. You will all see the timing lights that will indicate when time is up and it's time to stop talking.
And the time we have is critical over the next 2 hours, so we ask the audience to please keep your applause to a minimum.
Door.
All right, with that, let's get started. On stage tonight, 4 candidates, all vying to become their party's nominee. And given the state of affairs in our political system...
Let's be honest, it's 5 candidates, and Donald Trump just isn't there, but he's on stage. So let's be honest.
Now, one of you might very well do it. Even many Democrats now admit that President Biden is a weak candidate, just as many Republicans acknowledge that former President Donald Trump's multiple legal troubles could imperil his quest for a second term, all of which means one of you could wind up the leader of the free world.
Yeah, right.
Having said that, Mr. Trump is nearly 50 points ahead of all of you in the national polls, 29 points ahead in Iowa, where the GOP caucuses are less than 6 weeks away. And so, as Republicans get ready to vote on whether any of you might be preferable to Mr. Trump, we begin with the question of electability. Governor DeSantis, your campaign and its super PAC have spent the most money, had the most high net worth donors, and had a wave of momentum coming into this race after your big re-election win in Florida. You were seen by many as the candidate most likely to consolidate the non-Trump field. But here we are, a month out from the first real votes, and you haven't managed to do it. In fact, Nikki Haley is beating you in New Hampshire and South Carolina
Who called
now,
that?
and closing in on you in Iowa. Not to mention Trump, who is not only dominating in the early states, but is beating you in Florida by over 30 points. Is it fair to say, as Senator Tim Scott did when he dropped out, that voters are telling you, not no, but not now?
So we have a great idea in America that the voters actually make these decisions, not pundits or pollsters. I'm sick of hearing about these polls because I remember those polls in November of 2022. They said there was going to be a big red wave. It was going to be monumental, and that crashed and burned. The one place it didn't crash and burn was in the state of Florida. They weren't predicting.
Some people told you that there wasn't going to be a big red wave, and if you would have listened to me, you would have listened to the only conservative channel that said so. Just saying. I mean, just toot toot, horn.
That I would win the way I did, and I won the greatest Republican victory in the history of the state of Florida. I'm looking forward to Iowa and New Hampshire. The voters are going to be able to speak, and we're going to earn this nomination. And here's what we need. I am sick of Republicans who are not willing to stand up and fight back against what the left is doing to this country. You've got to be willing to stand strong, and you've got to be willing to beat these people. I'm the only one running for president that has beaten these people on issue after issue. We beat the teachers' unions when we did school choice. We beat Fauci on COVID. We beat George Soros when we removed 2 of his radical district attorneys. We beat the Democrats on election integrity. I have delivered results. That's what we need for this country. And you have other candidates up here like Nikki Haley. She caves anytime the left comes after her, anytime the media comes after her. I did a bill in Florida to stop the gender mutilation of minors. It's child abuse and it's wrong. She opposes that bill. She thinks it's fine and the law shouldn't get involved with it. If you're not willing to stand up for the kids, if you're not willing to stand up and say that it is wrong to mutilate these kids, then you're not going to fight for the people back home. I will fight for you and I will win for you.
Ambassador Haley, you left government service in 2018 with just $100,000 in the bank. 5 years later,
Nikki's the target, just FYI.
You're reportedly worth $8 million, thanks to lucrative corporate speeches and board memberships like you had with Boeing. Weeks ago, you met with Wall Street heavyweights, including leaders from JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and BlackRock. Several other billionaire investors are reportedly ready to endorse you, or recently have, all of which comes with expectations. Aren't you too tight with the banks and the billionaires to win over the GOP's working class base, which mostly wants to break the system, not elect someone beholden to it?
Well, thank you. It's great to be here. You know, first I'll tell you, just to respond to Ron, about my record, I actually said his Don't Say Gay bill didn't go far enough because it only talked about gender until the 3rd grade. And I said it shouldn't be done at all, that's for parents to talk about. It shouldn't be talked about with schools. In reference to donors coming on board, look, we will take support from anybody we can take support from. But I have been a conservative fighter all my life. I was a Tea Party candidate when I became governor. We opposed every single corporate bailout we possibly could. We passed tort reform. We passed one of the toughest illegal immigration laws in the country. We passed pro-life bills. We moved in unemployment from 11% to 3%. We took on the unions, and we took on Obama when it came to the unions, the Syrian refugees, and everything in between. And so I've had a fight. And so as much as Ron says that, that's not true. But when it comes to these corporate people that want to suddenly support us.
Melanie, why did she piss you off already? I mean, here's my thought. If she's already pissed you off and the body's not even cold yet, then you were looking to get pissed off tonight anyway, I think. I don't know. Tell me what it was.
We'll take it. But I don't ask them what their policies are. They ask me what my policies are. And I tell them what it is. Sometimes they agree with me, sometimes they don't. Some don't like how tough I am on China. Some don't like the fact that I've signed pro-life bills. Some don't like the fact that I may oppose corporate bailouts. That doesn't matter. That's who I am. And that's why the most conservative grassroots group in
that shouldn't piss you off that she's saying the Don't Say Gay bill. It's just like him going ahead and doing trafficking of migrants to Martha's Vineyard. She needs to do whatever she can to tie the negative press and the Democrat machine that's after DeSantis to him. That's her move, and it's a smart move. This is politics. I don't know why you would be upset with her saying that. I think it's a stupid thing to call the bill anyway. We know it doesn't say the word gay or lesbian or homosexual in it whatsoever. But the point is DeSantis, that's around his neck. You might as well choke him with it.
country, Americans for Prosperity.
You're trying to win a race here, not a brownie cook-off. I'm just,
Endorsed me last week.
Well, because she didn't respond to the criticism. It wasn't about the Parents' Rights and Education bill. It was about prohibiting sex change.
See, Ron DeSantis, this is where he fails. He should come back and say, don't say gay bill. Wow, you sound like a Democrat. That's not what it was. In fact, it had nothing to do with that. But Ron DeSantis hasn't been coached properly, and he doesn't have someone to run his campaign who actually can teach him how to think on the fly. This is what it bothers me about DeSantis. It's a perfect opportunity to do what you guys just said, which is to throw it right back on her and say, why are you using Democrat talking points? What else are they paying you to say? Things like that really strike home with people. It would have been a great opportunity. He failed to do it.
On minors. They do puberty blockers. These are irreversible. Talk to Chloe Cole. She went through this. Now she's an adult. She's warning against it. She may never be able to have kids again. That is what Nikki Haley opposed. She said the law shouldn't get involved in that. And I just ask you, if you're somebody that's going to be the president of the United States and you can't stand up against child abuse, how are you going to be able to stand up for anything? That is the truth.
So just immediately first blood goes to Nikki Haley because she hung the Don't Say Gay bill all over his head. That takes a lot with independents, Tea Partiers, middle of the road type constitutionalists. That's a strike. And he knows better. I mean, he's been doing this long enough. He should have come back, hit her on the talking point like you folks did and heard. Instead, he missed that. So what he did is just said the exact same thing. And now she gets to go ahead, move on from this. It deflects away from her money, from big corporations, which is one of the only things you can hold over her head. And now it's focused on him and he's on the defensive. It's perfect.
I think
we have it on. Oh, sorry, baby.
I think that DeSantis is looking old. I think
he looks tired,
aged
doesn't he?
tremendously in the past year.
Yeah.
And he normally is very soft and he's not a bad looking man.
No, he's put on a few. He's put on 20 pounds.
He looks hard right now. He looks angry and hard.
How do I look? I'm feeling pretty. Oh, hard. As in like facial features.
Now we know what's on your mind.
It's been
Okay,
72
the
hours.
debates are over. Good night, everyone.
I said
We're going to do another type of baiting. We'll be back.
I said that if you have to be 18 to get a tattoo, you should have to be 18 to have anything done to change your gender.
You said the law should stay out of it.
We're gonna get to this in more detail later. Let's finish with electability, but trust me, we're coming back to this issue. Mr. Ramaswamy, For months, you campaigned as a unifier. Then you stood up at the first debate and attacked all.
I just want to say I think Megyn Kelly is, I thought it sucked when she went after Trump and she was taken down for it. I thought she's kind of moved on now and she's more conservative focused because I think that's where her butter is on her bread. She doesn't eat bread, obviously. I'm just saying, eat a burger. But she's an amazing human being. I actually really enjoy her. I love her voice. I like her appearance. I've never not liked Megyn Kelly, even when she went after Trump a little bit. That doesn't bother me. I think Trump can stand it, and he deserves to be gone after once in a while. What are your opinions on Megyn Kelly there, honey?
I've never had an issue with her. I think she looks different. I think she got some work done.
I think she's just lost even more weight, which is
she's
more concerning.
really, really skinny.
Really thin in the face and gaunt. And and whatever. I mean, it's not, looks aren't the most important thing, but love her hair, love her put together.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do like her hair. I'll have to figure out how to do that.
I think her whole appearance today, I think she's wearing Calvin Klein and she looks really, okay.
Competitors as bought and paid for. The second debate, you changed your tune, saying these are good people on this stage, admitting you can come across as a bit of a know-it-all and rejecting the practice of personal insults. By debate number 3, you called Nikki Haley corrupt, accused Ron DeSantis of wearing high heels, and told Ambassador Haley she should keep a closer eye on her daughter. Can you see how this has led some to conclude you are not, in fact, a unifier, and to question your authenticity?
Megyn, I think there's a time and place for everything. We need somebody in the White House who absolutely is going to be a fighter when it counts. And I did say that there were some good people on that stage in that third.
No, we cannot have our opinion after the break, because if we don't talk during the middle of it, then we get slapped with copyright infringement and then the show gets canceled. So no.
We didn't put the disclaimer out there. We have to stop it every few minutes and talk, so we don't get shut down.
Yeah, this is a talk show.
We're a talk show. If you want to watch the debate live in its entirety without any interruptions, you need to go watch it on your cable TV or find someplace else to watch it. If you're going to watch it here, you're going to get our commentary on it. So
once in a while. That's just the way it is. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Let's play it.
Hey, Doug Burgum was on that stage at that time, and I'll say that jokingly. Ron DeSantis is a good person, too. I want to go back, though, to Nikki Haley's comment from earlier that she is somehow not responding to the will of these donors. Nikki, you were bankrupt when you left the UN. After you left the UN, you became a military contractor. You actually started joining service on the board of Boeing, whose back you scratched for a very long time, and then gave foreign multinational speeches like Hillary Clinton is. And now you're a multimillionaire. That math does not add up. It adds up to the fact that you are corrupt. And when I said they were bought and paid for, I meant the Republican establishment, not the Democratic establishment. Now you have Reid Hoffman, the person who's effectively George Soros Jr., funding lawsuits across this country against Donald Trump to keep him off the ballot, funding left-wing causes. We discovered this week that he is one of Nikki Haley's largest supporters. Larry Fink, the king of the woke industrial complex, the ESG movement, the CEO of BlackRock, the most powerful company in the world, now supporting Nikki Haley. And to say that doesn't affect her is false, because it's after that meeting later that day that she says that every American needs to be doxxed by having their ID, their government-issued ID, tied to what they say on the internet. So I think that this is far more corrupt than I even imagined when I entered politics. But I will say this. It is going to take a leader from the outside with fresh legs from the next generation to unite this country. Not the broken politicians who are puppets of the puppet masters, but the actual people in this country. Thomas Jefferson was 33 when he wrote the Declaration of Independence.
God, this guy's all over the place.
I think it's going to take somebody whose best days in life are still ahead.
Need a roadmap and a compass every time he talks, because we just get lost.
He only attacks Haley.
Well, he's there to run opposite. She's leading. That's why. I
was going to say, he's
leading,
threatened by her.
She's running 11%. She is the only candidate for every single debate to gain in the polls. The only candidate. Trump has lost. Ramaswamy's lost. DeSantis lost. Scott lost. Christie lost. They've all dropped. She's increasing, and she's narrowing the gap. She's getting big donors to come in, ones that Donald Trump went ahead and tried in 2020 to gain, whether it be the Koch brothers or whether it be BlackRock or anyone else, and they all turned him down. They're giving her money. They're pulling from DeSantis. DeSantis is done. And it's Haley, like I told you all along. It made sense for her to be VP. This is why Donald Trump's not hitting her that hard. But Vivek is the only thing he's doing, and the only reason he is there is to be Donald Trump, so Donald Trump doesn't have to be there. This, I will tell you, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but there is no doubt in my mind that Donald Trump has paid this guy. It's just, it makes too much sense. He doesn't run. All he does is try to tear up the candidates. He's not going to win. His numbers will not support that. Every single time they run one of these debates, people come out and say, 70, 80, 90% of the people said he won, yet he doesn't go up in the polls. All it is Trump followers, which is fine, stacking those polls on Twitter and all across the country because they don't want any other candidate to go up against Donald Trump. And that's fine. But sooner rather than later, this guy is going to have to drop out because the money that he needs, he's not getting. So, it is what it is.
To see a country whose best days are ahead of itself. And I think I can reach that next generation better than anybody else in this race.
Thank you. Response.
Megan. First of all, we weren't bankrupt when I left the UN. We're people of service. My husband is in the military, and I served our country as UN ambassador and governor. It may be bankrupt to him, but it certainly wasn't bankrupt to us.
Boom.
Secondly, I did serve on the board of Boeing. I did a lot of work with Boeing when I was governor. They were a great partner to me. I served for 10 months. And then when they decided after COVID that they wanted to go for a corporate bailout, I've never supported corporate bailout, so I respectfully stepped back and got off the board. I love Boeing. They build good commercial airplanes. They build airplanes for our Air Force. I am proud of them. They employ a lot of people in South Carolina. But that's why I left the Boeing board. There's nothing to what he's saying. And in terms of these donors that are supporting me, they're just jealous. They wish that they were supporting them. But I'm not going to sit there and deny.
Crushed him. Good night. Look at all of them.
And Vivek, he wrote a book talking about
See, if DeSantis coming to the aid of Haley is perfect. This is what she does every debate. She goes in there. She doesn't play weak. She crushes them. And then they all defend her because they realize, holy shit, I don't want any piece of her. And they back off. Look at Christie. Christie's just sitting there waiting for Donald Trump to bring up so he can do what he always does and just play the Trump card. Liv, any comments on Haley's response?
It was great. I liked it.
Made him look like a billionaire.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think that, in my opinion, that Haley is one of the, I'm trying to think of the words. As far as a woman candidate, I think she is the best to ever come out of the Republican Party.
I agree. And
to be honest, I think she's better than any woman that's ever tried to come out of the Democratic Party either. I think she, I've never been like, I'm a woman's got to be president, blah, 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 blah. I've never been about that. But she's definitely, as far as women running, she's definitely the best I've seen since I've been following politics.
Yeah, I agree. I got to agree with you. DeSantis.
And these woke corporations and BlackRock. The idea that I want to do that in Florida, they were managing our part of our pension. And then when they did the ESG, I took $2 billion away from BlackRock. We took action. This ESG, they call it environment, social governance. And again, Nikki is meeting with all these people. They want to use economic power to impose a left-wing agenda on this country. They want basically to change society without having to go through the constitutional process. We've kneecapped it in the state of Florida. The next president of the United States needs to be able to go to that office on day one and end ESG. And the fact of the matter is, we know from her history, Nikki will cave to those big donors when it counts. And that is not acceptable.
I did write that book, Ron, and the irony is Nikki Haley was heaping praise on me when I wrote that book, but now I worry. I was warning about the woke industrial complex in this country as a warning. Apparently, she read it as a how-to manual, just like she reads George Orwell's books as well. And so I think that that's actually far more dangerous than, this is really important for people to understand. We're marching towards fascism under Biden. Jack Smith has subpoenaed every last retweet that's...
You guys, we're 12 months into the election. Joe Biden's running for president. I've been telling you this for 2.5, 3 years. The biggest home court advantage in politics is the incumbency. Democrats aren't going to give that up. It's too late. You guys have to stop with this. Hillary Clinton's not going to run. Michelle Obama's not going to run. Newsom's there in case he has a heart attack or something else happens. That's the only reason Newsom's there. He's waiting in the wings. But they're not going to push Biden out. They openly came out, DNC said yesterday, that they are completely comfortable with Kamala Harris. Joe Biden said in a private donation fundraiser that he was only running to beat Trump. So what happens after he beats Trump? He resigns and gives it to Kamala? Folks, relax. Donald Trump is going to face Joe Biden as long as Donald Trump's charges don't wind up in jail time, because that's going to be a whole other thing as they move and try to strike him from running for president. You need to relax on this whole thing. It's coming down to this. Joe Biden's got the incumbency. It's the best home court advantage in politics. It's not going anywhere. That's it. So chill.
One has issued from Donald Trump in the year 2020. The only person more fascist than the Biden regime now is Nikki Haley, who thinks the government should identify every one of those.
He can't run from jail. It's very much dependent upon if they can make the felony stick, if they can use the 25th or the 14th Amendment to go ahead and remove him from being a viable candidate. You have to understand, if it comes down to that he is found guilty of January 6th related stuff, not necessarily election and things to that effect, but the January 6th, it does specifically say in the Constitution of the United States, insurrection, overthrowing government, seditious conspiracy, these type of things will ultimately remove him from running from office. So let's be very, very clear to not give out disinformation on this channel. And it is absolutely 100% true that if Donald Trump is convicted of January 6th related, that is an obstruction or something posthumous from the event, but actually the event itself, he very well could not run for president. We need to be very, very clear here and not give out misinformation. Please don't do that again.
With an ID. That is not freedom. That is fascism. And she should come.
It doesn't matter whether they can prove any of those things. I'm not going to get into an intellectual debate with you. There should be no reason that they could summon a grand jury. There should be no reason that they should go ahead and charge him 91 times with crimes that obviously have very little basis in reality, yet they have. So for anyone to sit here and say, oh, well, they can't do that, that's against the law. Have you been paying attention to anything that's been going on the last 4 years? I think it's awfully naive that we're in this state of 2023 going into 2024 and we still haven't learned our lesson, that they'll do whatever they want because he's Hitler, right? He's a Nazi. And once you have Hitler on the other side of the aisle, you'll do whatever you can to ensure he doesn't get in power.
Nowhere near the levers of power, let alone the White House.
I got to get to Governor Christie. I haven't forgotten about you,
No, but can I just say,
can you speak?
I really appreciate it.
How are you doing, sir?
Good to see you.
Can you please speak to the requirement that you said that every anonymous internet user needs to out themselves? They're both hitting you on it.
I would be happy to, and I love all the attention, fellas. Thank you for that. I'll say this. What I said was that social media companies need to show us their algorithms. I also said there are millions of bots on social media right now. They're foreign, they're Chinese, they're Iranian. I will always fight for freedom of speech for Americans. We do not need freedom of speech for Russians and Iranians and Hamas. We need social media companies to go and fight back on all of these bots that are happening. That's what I said. As a mom, do I think that social media would be more civil if we went and had people's names next to that? Yes, I do think that, because I think we've got too much cyberbullying. I think we've got child pornography and all of those things. But having said that, I never said government should go and require anyone's name.
That's false. She said, I want your name.
She
as President of the United States, her first day in office, she said, one of the first things I'm going to do,
I said we were going to get the millions of bots.
She wants government ID to dox every American.
That's what she said. You can roll the tape. She said, I want your name. And that was going to be one of the first things she did in office. And then she got real serious blowback, and understandably so, because it'd be a massive expansion of government. We have anonymous speech. The Federalist Papers were written with anonymous writers. Jay, Madison, and Hamilton, they went under Publius. It's something that's important, and especially given how conservative have been attacked and they've lost jobs and they've been canceled. You know the regime would use that to weaponize that against our own people.
Okay,
it was a bad idea, and she should own up to it. Come on, now, what are you doing here?
15 seconds, and then there is the governor, former governor of New Jersey.
This cracks me up because Ron is so hypocritical, because he actually went and tried to push a law that would stop anonymous people from talking to the press, and went so far to say bloggers should have to register with the state if they're going to write about elected officials. It was in the check your newspaper. It was absolutely there. I have never said government should
trample on your constitutional rights.
You can come back to it later.
This is more dangerous than the Democrats.
You're lying. This section's over. Okay. Governor Christie.
Really?
At least she's handling
Just
it well.
facts.
I'm usually not somebody who gets missed, but okay, let's go.
What's happening? Okay, I got you.
That was funny.
Listen, you endorsed Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020.
She needs to be hung with that. She said it. I happen to agree with her. I'm sorry. I can't stand these anonymous little pricks who come on here and say some of the things about my daughter and my wife and talk about raping my kids and gutting my wife while she's pregnant, cutting her stomach open, and then fucking raping her while I watch. Sorry. Those people deserve, they deserve to be in prison, or they deserve to be held accountable for their words, because it is a threat. And those people, they wear the blanket of anonymity, and they do atrocities that absolutely deserve to be regulated. And I don't care what anyone says. If you did what I did for a living and recognize the amount of death threats that I get from anonymous sources, we're not talking about people who are sharing a frickin' cookie recipe. We're not talking about people who have a comment about Eminem or Madonna and want to say, oh, I hate their music. That's completely different. What we're talking about is people who are using and committing crimes on the internet with libel, with slander, with threats, using it for drugs, pedophilia, using the black market and using the dark web to do nefarious things. There has to be something that allows us to monitor, because this is where we're going. This is where crime is taking place. Crime isn't necessarily taking place in the material world anymore. It's happening in the digital world. And then it's materializing and monasticizing into real crime. There's got to be something. Now, Nikki Haley said something stupid. She absolutely crossed the line with saying everyone should have their name outed. Okay, that's fine. But these private companies, you have to register to vote. If you want to go ahead and buy a ticket to a plane, you have to show an ID. If you want to buy a gun, you got to go ahead and show ID. These are things that we've completely been okay with. Well, if you're going to go online and you're going to say things and spew things, and whether it is saying you're going to shoot up a school, or whether you're threatening the president, or you're threatening a Don't Unfriend Me show host, you should be held accountable for those things that you say. So once again, it's not a black and white issue. It's like abortion. We've got to find compromise. Second Amendment, they want compromise. And I believe we've already been 100% open to compromise on the Second Amendment. We're done doing that. But you've got to find some sort of common ground when necessity is in need. Voter registration absolutely needs to take place. Could we stop gerrymandering? Absolutely. These things are called compromise. Is she calling for everyone has to out themselves? No, she misspoke. But instead of saying simply, you know what, you guys, absolutely, I misspoke. Let me clarify my point. That's all you got to do. Chris Christie would have done that. He's good at that. But she failed that one. They got her on that one. And they're ganging up on her because they're getting their asses kicked by her.
You gave him an A for his first term. Since then, however, you've turned on him, calling him a liar, a loser, a con man, and someone who cannot win. You've even said that you got into this race just to stop President Trump. His approval rating with Republicans is currently at 81%. Yours is at 25%. Your best state is New Hampshire, and even there, 2/3 of GOP voters say they would be angry and disappointed if you won. Respectfully, Governor, you have not stopped Mr. Trump, and voters may wonder how you could possibly become the nominee of a party that does.
We already are like England, so I don't know what people are talking about. Corporations, you have no right to speech on Facebook or Twitter at all. You're already registered. They already know who you are. You can create anon accounts all you want, but if you want to do anything on Facebook, whether it be advertising or whatever, you've got to show your identity. I register as a political organization. I have to verify my identity on Google, on Rumble, everywhere I go. I have to have my tax records all in line for any type of things I monetize. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the average Tom, Dick, and Harry. But the problem is that this is what happens, is people will create anon accounts and use those accounts for spamming and botting and doing those type of things and spreading disinformation. This is how we had something like January 6th. This is how we've had things like Antifa and these groups that are completely ill-informed with the truth, because thousands upon thousands of these people, these bots, are spreading misinformation on the internet. We've got to find a way to quash that. I'm sorry, whether you're uncomfortable with that, You don't have any rights on social media anyway.
I like you very much.
Yeah. Well, look, Megyn, it's often very difficult to be the only person on the stage who's telling the truth and the only person who is taking on what needs to be taken on. I look at my watch now. We're 17 minutes into this debate, and except for your little speech in the beginning, we've had these three acting as if the race is between the four of us. The fifth guy, who doesn't have the guts to show up and stand here, he's the one who, as you just put it, is way ahead in the polls. And yet, I've got these three guys who are all seemingly to compete with, Voldemort, he who shall not be named. They don't want to talk about it. The fact is that when you go and you say the truth about somebody who is a dictator, a bully, who has taken shots at everybody, whether they've given him great service or not over time, who dares to disagree with him, then I understand why these three are timid to say anything about it. Maybe it's because they have future aspirations. Maybe those future aspirations are now, or maybe they're 4 years from now. But the fact of the matter is the truth needs to be told. And for us to go 17 minutes without discussing the guy who has all those gaudy numbers you talked about is ridiculous. I'm in this race because the truth needs to be spoken. He is unfit. This is a guy who...
Sorry, I got to pause it. Kyrie, the reason why they arrest people who's on trial is it's against the law. And it's something that should be happening here. The accused in any case has a right to anonymity and protection of their identity in England, from a parking ticket all the way up to a whatever class felony. Instead of being paraded all across the internet and all across the news agencies, their face and the public of court opinion eliminates them, and then they get a jury of their peers who know everything about them but can lie effectively so they can go ahead and write a book. I'm sorry, England does that right, and I am no fan of English rule. I never have been. But them protecting the innocent who are not guilty yet is one of the best things that they do. So just do a little research before you start casting rocks, dude. Seriously?
Said this past week that he wants to use the Department of Justice to go after his enemies when he gets in there. I mean, the fact of the matter is he is unfit to be president, and there is no bigger issue in this race, Megyn, than Donald Trump, and those numbers prove it.
Governor Christie, we will be...
No, you're wrong. Dude, we're not having this conversation. We're watching the debate. Shut the fuck up.
That issue of Donald Trump in just a moment, but I'd like to first get to some questions on Israel. Governor DeSantis, tonight as we speak, the war is back on in Gaza. Israeli tanks are on the move and have surrounded the home of the leader of Hamas. 8 Americans have been held hostage in the tunnels beneath Gaza for 60 days now. American troops and warships in the Middle East are under attack. How far would you go as president to secure the release of those 8 American hostages? And would it include sending American forces into combat?
We have to look out for our people. When there are hostages, Commander-in-Chief, you have to do whatever you can to get them done. But the overall issue with this is this administration is trying to hobble Israel from being able to defend itself. They have a right to eliminate Hamas and win a total and complete victory so that they never have to deal with this again. Hamas wants nothing less than a second Holocaust. They would wipe off every single Jew off the map. They would destroy the state of Israel if we could. Joe Biden will say they support Israel, and then they do nothing but try to kneecap them every step of the way. You should not try to direct their war effort. We should work together with them so that they can bring Hamas to heel. Look,
Yes, we want to hear everybody's opinion. And I have a right to tell someone to shut the STFU when we're trying to watch this. You get a shorthand with people. If Kyrie has a problem with that, he can call in and yell at me. But I just want to watch the damn debate. I don't want to talk about English rule. They still bag people when they go ahead and they bring them into the courtroom. They still bag people when they go ahead and arrest them. There is a heightened sense of anonymity for criminals in England. Yes, Ireland does it too. If you go ahead and look up the laws, it goes all the way back down to cap punishment and goes back to the days of the king and queen and Charlemagne. So we can discuss this some other time, but right now let's just listen to this dumpster fire if we could. Thanks.
In Iraq back in the day, I'm the only one running for president that served in the military. I understand that part of the world. It's not the best part of the world. We do have troops there that Biden is leaving basically as sitting ducks. and you have the Iranians that are attacking these troops, and he's responding with basically pinpricks. If you harm an American service member, you're going to have hell to pay when I'm president. We are not going to let our troops be sitting ducks. We also need to look at what's the underlying problem here. Iran. Biden is doing nothing to bring Iran to account. You got to turn the...
You heard it here first, folks. DeSantis wants to go into Israel and Iran. I mean, if you're going to spin it, Nikki. Nikki should say something. Wow, it sounds like you want to go to war, Ron.
Screws on them. Don't let them have any oil revenue. The money they get, they send to Hamas, they send to Hezbollah, and they foment jihad throughout the Middle East. So Biden has empowered Iran just like he's empowered other adversaries. We stand with Israel. They're our best ally in the Middle East. We have a unique relationship with them, and you will see a strong relationship when I'm the president of the United States.
But would you send American troops?
Answer the question.
This is the problem with the first three debates. Ron gets asked a question, and he doesn't answer it.
Yeah.
Your question was very specific. You said, would you send American troops as commander-in-chief? And he went on to this minute and 30-second hosanna about his knowledge of the military and what we need to do, and didn't answer your question. Look, when you're president of the United States, you're not going to have a choice whether to answer that question or not. Your generals, your Secretary of Defense, your Secretary of State, your National Security Advisor are going to present plans to you. They're going to look at you and say, do we go or don't we, Mr. President? And you can't.
How do you hate Christie?
I was just going to say that. I'm like,
how do you hate him?
I got to respect him.
Yep.
Because he knows he's not going to win. He
Yeah.
will never win.
Nope.
But I think he's in the race just to call out the bullshit.
That's right.
And he's there because he's really not even answering. He's not even really saying anything and toting himself up.
No.
He's just basically tearing everyone down and saying, hey, wait a second. Nope, you're lying. And he's holding them accountable. And
Yeah.
I got to respect that.
I got to respect it too. I mean, listen, Trump should be there. He's right. I don't care. Trump does not want to address the room, and he doesn't. He's going to have to. And either he's going to do it now, which he won't, or he's going to have to do it against Biden. There are some things that Donald Trump did that he has to answer for. I'm sorry. And if you're going to sit here and say he has nothing to answer for, then you're just not paying attention. There's things he has to answer for. There has to be some sort of accountability here. And I don't like Christie. I'd never vote for Christie. In fact, I think he's a blowhard and he's got a hard on for Trump. But at least he's given a couple strong answers in regards to using states' attorneys to get rid of these progressive DAs and start handling government-assigned states' attorneys to start, trying these crimes. I think it's a great idea. I love what he's talked about with school charter. I love what he's talked about expanding schools. He's got some good ideas. It's just in the end, it's Chris fucking Christie, and Chris Christie is just here simply to go ahead and to be the trump card, is to be the guy who goes up here and says, you're not Republican enough to be on this stage. You're not serious enough. And he's the old guard, and they're few and far between. And we need somebody up there who resembles the institution of politics. Nobody else up there is an institution person. He is. So good. He has no chance of winning. But I do like when he calls out people. It's always satisfying.
Give a 90-second speech about your military service, as
So
laudable as it
would
is.
you send American troops in to rescue those hostages?
Absolutely. If they had a plan which showed me that we could get them out safely, you're damn right I'd send the American Army in there to get our people home and get them home now. And I'll answer that question directly.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Mr. Ramaswamy, you have said it was irresponsible.
DeSantis still didn't answer the question. You notice that? At least Christie had the balls to answer it. I completely disagree with his answer, but at least he had the balls to answer it.
For Ambassador Haley to call Hamas's terrorist rampage an attack on America, and for her to, quote, rabidly shout,
who cares if it would be Trump bashing from all sides? So he's afraid of that? So the commander-in-chief is afraid of having people attack him verbally? Oh, well, that disqualifies him as president, in my opinion, then. Who gives a fuck what Trump wants? He's running for president of the United States. He needs to earn it. He's not an incumbent. He's not the president. If you run for office, you have to go ahead and you should debate. It's not a have to. You should. What's he scared of? Sorry. First one, I was like, whatever. Second one, I was like, now? We're 12 months in. He has to get up there.
He needs to get up. He needs to at least do one debate before the primary vote in June or whenever we're supposed to do it. If he does not, I will not vote for him in the primary. If he is the Republican nominee, yes, I'll vote for him for the presidential election. But if he doesn't get on stage and debate, I will not vote for him for the primary.
Listen to you people defend Trump. You guys are pathetic. Seriously. I'm sorry. As a political analyst, I think it's important for him to be there. Why don't you want the president of the United States, the guy who's running, to be up there and to answer these questions, to hold these guys accountable, to call them on their bullshit? What is he afraid of?
It's a completely different country than it was back in 2016.
Yeah.
We're in a completely different place than we were in 2020. And he needs, I can't vote for him on what he said he was going to do in 2020 and 2016. He needs to come out and he needs to tell us what his plans for the next 4 years are.
He needs to answer questions about talking about suspending the Constitution in regards to confiscating firearms. He needs to answer the question about the vaccine. Okay? He needs to answer the question about lockdowns. He has to answer the question about the deficit. He has to answer the question of, just because you had a positive GDP and you had record numbers in the GDP, why did you spend the amount of money you did? Why did you allow Democrats to pass an omnibus bill in pork barrel politics on the first day of office that you were sworn in? I've got questions. Why don't you? See, this is the problem. There's people who are Trump supporters, and then there's people who are Trump zealots, who are Nephilim for Trump. You are the angels of Trump, and you believe he's God. And I'm sorry, I completely disagree with you.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If
please.
anyone thinks that I am a never Trumper or whatever because I say I won't vote for him in the primary, I was the biggest Trump supporter in 2016. I was the biggest Trump supporter in 2020. My kids lost their godparents. This show started because I was a Trump supporter. So I think as an American, I have the right to want him to debate and I want to know what his policies are. I want to know what he's going to do. And no, I am not happy with him right now. I think he's being a chicken shit. I think he's being a coward. And I think his head is so fucking big right now that he can't get past the point of, I'm going to win. And that's all he's thinking about right now is he thinks he's the most popular guy on the court and the most popular guy in the school grounds and that no one can beat him. Unfortunately, that's not true. He needs to prove that he is worthy to win and worthy of my vote again. And so far, he has not done it.
Fair enough. I mean, I can't disagree. Listen, wanting more Trump isn't a bad thing. But if you guys think that the world is where it was in 2020, it's not even close. I want to hear what he thinks. Trump did a town hall on Hannity. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? You're telling me 2 million people watching Hannity is not as good as 35 million people watching this? I'm sorry. You guys will defend him until he absolutely drives his campaign into the ground. And it baffles me. It baffles me. I don't. He went on Hannity. Oh, yeah, that's a real tough interview. I'm sure those questions were really hard. I watched it. You know what Hannity does? All over my face. That's all Hannity does. He's a chimp. Give me a break. I just can't stand people. Make me sick. Seriously.
Finish them, end quote. The Hamas terror attack left
Where can I watch this without the commentary? I don't fucking know. Look up your cable provider. Fuck off.
Thousands of Americans dead and was the deadliest attack on Jews since the Holocaust. Why wouldn't it be a good thing to finish Hamas?
Finish them was purposefully vague in a discussion that included Iran, which is what
Of course you like Hannity, Ann, because all he does is suck Trump off. How about we have a real debate? How about we have someone actually hold Donald Trump to the flame and let him answer a few things that we have some questions on? Why not? Of course you like Hannity. Of course you do. All he does is talk about Trump. But you like Tucker Carlson too. Should I show you some of the texts that Tucker sent about Trump? Should I show you some of the comments that he made that Trump's unpresidential? That Trump shouldn't run? That he's bad for the Republican Party? Do you like Tucker still? Of course you do.
objected to. And I think it's, as U.S. president, you have to be responsible. What happened to Israel was dead wrong. What Hamas did was medieval. It was subhuman. It was immoral. And we have to call that out for what it is on October 7th. But to say that that was an attack on America fails a basic test. I mean, Nick, if you can't tell the difference between where Israel is and the U.S. is on a map, I can have my 3-year-old son show you the difference. That is irresponsible because it has major consequences, because that doesn't leave room for what actually is an attack on America. So I believe I have the strongest pro-Israel position actually on the stage, even though it's a little bit different than the standard GOP talking points. And it is this. The founding vision of Israel, David Ben-Gurion, the George Washington figure of Israel, what did he believe? He believed that we don't want, as Israel, to depend on the fleeting sympathies of the West and have our hands tied. I think Israel has an absolute...
Kenny, you're not able to have a conversation. Yes, I love Pedo Joe. Yep, I do. I love Joe Biden. I want to bend him over the keister. I want to fuck him into youth. You're absolutely right. Kenny, you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. You can't have a conversation.
I can't see his comments.
Call into 804-212-2208. Come and try to defend your position. How about this? How about you go ahead and you name 10 things you hate about Joe Biden, and I will give you 25 things that Donald Trump did better. Okay? And then you can tell me. Yeah, I'm a Pedo Joe fan, right? Because I question one thing about Donald Trump. Why is he at the debates? Therefore, I like Pedo Joe. You're a myopic thinker. You're the fucking death of the Republican Party. You shouldn't vote. Do me a favor. Don't do us all a favor. Don't have an opinion. Just please go find something to do. Play pocket pool. Go play Xbox in your mom's basement. Whatever.
Right to defend itself to the full.
Just don't vote. Whatever you do, don't fucking vote.
Without the U.S., the UN, or the EU, or anybody else second-guessing their decisions, as the Biden administration, guess what, is now starting to do.
Please tell me how I talk shit about Trump. Specifically, please tell me what I talk shit about Trump. Define talk shit. What, that I challenge that he should be at these debates so we can put these people away and put them to bed and we can get to some serious campaigning and start uniting the party and have voters come out and focus on one candidate? How long do you want this shit show to go on? Do you realize that a presidential campaign runs about 19 months now? And we've spent the last 7 months jerking each other off with 150 different candidates? Do you think maybe the message is getting muddled? Do you think we need a political party platform for the Republican Party that hasn't had one since 2016? Do you think those things are important? Do you think maybe we should get behind the speaker? Do you think we should go ahead and try to figure out what to say about abortion? Or do you just want to sit here and just have Trump rallies that nobody watches except for Trump people and go ahead and have no idea what we're doing going into the convention so we actually get a split convention? Is that what you want? Because I'm telling you, Nikki Haley is gaining ground. If you think when Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, DeSantis drop out that Nikki Haley's not going to be pushing 35%, you're insane. You obviously have never watched an election in your life. I'm a little concerned that Donald Trump isn't taking this shit seriously because he can't. So if you consider that talking shit, then yeah, you're right. I talk shit.
It's a more deeply pro-Israel position than anybody else. And
you shut the fuck up, Paul. No, I won't play it. In fact, we're done watching it until you leave. Fuck you, Paul. I'm not your fucking cable provider. I'm not your remote control. You want to watch this? Why don't you pay for your own cable, you broke motherfucker? It's not my job to provide you TV.
What platform is it
on? It's on Facebook.
Really?
Shut the fuck up and play the debate already.
I'm not seeing these.
You shut the fuck up and you go play it. Why don't you pay for the own debate? This is a talk show where we're talking about crazy things and we all have opinions. Your opinion is play the debate. I can't believe you guys are talking on a talk show. You don't know what they're going to say? You haven't seen this shit show? You want to watch it again? All right, stick your binky in. Get your baba.
It's the actual lines of accountability clear because it is a pro-American position. And as leader of the United States of America, just as a father of 2 sons, my sole moral duty is to my family. As your next president, my...
Nice, Paul. Great comeback. What a clapback. Fuck you, too. Well done, dude. Well done.
Sole moral duty is to you, the people of this country. That's how I'm going to lead. So I'll tell Bibi, you smoke the terrorists on your southern border, you go ahead and we're rooting for you. We're going to smoke the terrorists on our own southern border, and that's how I'm going to lead this country.
But Americans were killed in that attack. Americans were killed in that attack. And so if you looked at this terrorist attack and the number of Americans, this would be one of the top 10 terrorist attacks in American history. So our own people were killed in that attack. And I think it's absolutely appropriate to point that out and to say that we're in this together, and we are going to work with Israel so that these people are brought to justice.
I agree with that.
Ambassador Haley, I'm coming to you. Iran is on the threshold of becoming a nuclear state.
Paul, I will turn Paul, here's your problem. Is you couldn't go ahead and have one single thought if you held your nose, shoved your head up your ass, and farted. Listen to what I'm saying. We very rarely get to the full 2 hours because you have no idea what this show's about. You have no idea what we do. And you assume that I'm a cable provider. If we don't have conversation in between this, we get hit for copyright infringement and then we lose it. Do I have to ask your permission to have a talk show? Do you watch football and not listen to the commentators? Are you the type of guy that huffs and puffs and fucking sticks your thumb in your mouth and stomps your feet when there's a commercial that interrupts the game? Is this you? I'm not your cable provider. I provide a service for people to come on here and listen to the debate and have discourse, ask questions, and we talk about it. Sometimes we don't get to the whole debate. And guess what? If you need this to truly identify who these candidates are, then you're the dumbest fucker on the planet because they have been talking ad nauseum for 7 months. If you don't know them by now, you're never going to. Grow up.
Hey, Paul.
The Wall Street Journal reported that Iranian military leaders gave the green light for Hamas's attack on Israel.
Hey, Paul, why don't you talk? You know what's funny, Paul, is every time you open up your fucking mouth, I have to address your silly ass. So you're the one who's holding up from playing the debate.
Start putting his comments on the screen.
Have you recognized that, Paul?
Because I can't see him.
I mean, seriously, Paul, every time you talk, you take away from the show. Wow. He's actually a biplane pilot. Go figure. Can't believe a guy like that actually got his license.
You said in last month's debate that, by contrast to the Biden administration's approach to Iran, you would, quote, punch them once and punch them hard. Were you saying that it's time to bomb Iran?
No, I was not saying it's time to bomb Iran, but I will tell you, dealt with
somebody ban Paul Reuter, please. Get this fucking twat waffle out of here. Thank you.
On every day when I was at the United Nations, and they only respond to strength. What they don't respond to is when you weaken the sanctions like they did on Iran that allowed China to send them billions to fill their proxies. What they don't respond to is when you give $6 billion for 5 hostages. That only makes them want more hostages. What they don't respond to is when they do 140 strikes on our men and women in Syria and Iraq, and we do nothing but just some small shots back. You've got to punch them, you've got to punch them hard, and let them know that. That's the only way they're going to respond. So the way you do that is you go after their infrastructure in Syria and Iraq where they're hitting our soldiers. That's what you do, and then that's when they'll back off. The problem is you have to see that all of these are related. If you look at the fact Russia was losing that war with Ukraine, Putin had hit rock bottom. They had raised the draft age to 65. He was getting drones and missiles, drones from Iran, missiles from North Korea. And so what happened? When he hit rock bottom, all of a sudden, his other friend, Iran, Hamas goes and invades Israel and butchers those people on Putin's birthday. There is no one happier right now than Putin because all of the attention America had on Ukraine suddenly went to Israel. And that's what they were hoping is going to happen. We need to make sure that we have full clarity that there is a reason, again, that Taiwanese want to help Ukrainians because they know if Ukraine wins, China won't invade Taiwan. There's a reason the Ukrainians want to help Israelis because they know that if Iran wins, Russia wins. These are all connected. But what wins all of that is a strong America, not a weak America. And that's what Joe Biden's given us.
I want to say one thing about the tie to Ukraine, if I may. So foreign policy experience is not the same as foreign policy wisdom. I want everybody at home to note that I was the first person to say we need a reasonable peace deal in Ukraine. Now a lot of the neocons are quietly coming along to that position, with the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people have, I mean, she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after, has real foreign policy experience. It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for. And there's her puppet masters right there. The donors right there that are playing her like the puppet masters.
Hold on.
Let me just say something here.
Okay, I got something to say. So experience doesn't equal wisdom. So your parents being immigrants does not make you very smart on immigration. You're constantly toting that. Constantly toting. My parents are immigrants. It's the most annoying thing ever. She can bury him with that. Anyone can bury him with that. I mean, that can come back on him so bad.
Why does she have to recognize provinces? Why can't she simply say that we have invested $150 billion into Ukraine? There is no way Ukraine is going to win this war. There is no way that the United States should go in and try to win this war in Ukraine. But we can't simply abandon them at this point without having an exit strategy that makes sense. Otherwise, we create another Bosnia-Herzegovina. We create another Iraq. We create another Afghanistan. And the American taxpayer dollars that has been put in there is absolutely 100% in interest of all Americans. So no, Vivek, I can't give you 3 provinces I want to save because I'm not as myopic as you when it comes to that a country is at risk. That this is not Ukraine's fault. Ukraine didn't invade itself. Russia did cross that line and invade. And whether there was a civil war or conflict or not, they went after cities and townships that had nothing to do with anything that happened in the Donbass region. And just answer the question, then it's over. But see, Vivek he's the type of guy that goes, please tell me the 3 cell stasis events of childbirth. And you're like, I don't have that information. Well, then you don't care about abortion. Give me a fucking break. Really? Guy's a putz. Let's see what Christie says here. I'm interested to see this.
His reasonable peace deal in Ukraine, he made it clear. Give them all the land they've already stolen. Promise Putin you'll never put Ukraine in Russia. And then trust Putin not to have a relationship with China. Let me tell you something. That's no
That's
reasonable.
not my deal. That's not my deal.
Yes,
Chris.
it's exactly what you said.
Describe my
You do
deal
this
too.
at every debate.
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Okay? You
Tell
say
them
this.
about how you
You
want to
do
send our
this.
kids to die.
You
Go
do
for
this
it.
at every debate. You go out on the stump and you say something. All of us see it on video. We confront you on the debate stage. You say you didn't say it, and then you back away. And I want to say
tell you exactly what I said, Chris.
I'm not done yet.
Well, this
now
is
look.
this is nonsense. This man is spewing. This man is spewing nonsense.
Let me tell you something.
Finally,
this is
somebody
the 4th
said it.
debate. The 4th debate that you would be voted in the first 20 minutes as the most obnoxious blowhard in America. So shut up for a little while.
I'm going to respond to that.
I want to say
Your
something.
version of
We're going to let you respond to that. We're going to let you respond to that.
I'll take
Let him
that.
finish.
I want to say something else. We're now 25 minutes into this debate, and he has insulted Nikki Haley's basic intelligence, not her positions, her basic intelligence. She doesn't know regions. She wouldn't be able to find something on a map that his 3-year-old could find. Look, if you want to disagree on issues, that's fine. And Nikki and I disagree on some issues. But I'll tell you this, I've known her for 12 years, which is longer than he's even started to vote in a Republican primary. And while we disagree about some issues and we disagree about who should be president of the United States, what we don't disagree on is this is a smart, accomplished woman, and you should stop insulting her.
So I'm going to take this. I'm going to take Trevor.
That's why I told you, fucking get off Christie's nuts. The only reason you don't like Christie is because he hugged Obama and Donald Trump told you not to. I think it's awesome that he goes after Trump. Good. Trump should face him. Trump could destroy Christie, but Trump won't do it. And he wants Vivek. Vivek is getting out. Dude, and once again, they're going to say Vivek won. Vivek is a fucking chump. He is an absolute douche plow in a suit. He's big pharma. He's ultra rich. The guy is completely Soros funded. If you know what's funny, you say DeSantis is Soros funded and he's New World Order. He's not. You say Nikki Haley is Soros funded. He's not. But the guy who's actually Soros funded, the guy who received grants from Soros, the guy who has received grants from WEF and Davos summits and taken part in these large executive boards, who was in the pharmaceutical industry you guys love. Why? Because he defends Trump. You have got to wake the fuck up. I don't know what's wrong with you people. God, go Christie. Fucking good. Good for him. Do it. Since you can't do it to Trump, release on Vivek. Make that little pussy fucking cry so he never comes back, because the guy is a stain on America. He's a douche plow.
So first of all, I think we just learned something from Chris Christie. We learned three things. We learned three things right there. First of all, Chris Christie also doesn't know what provinces in eastern Ukraine he actually wants us to fight for. Chris, your version of foreign policy experience was closing a bridge from New Jersey to New York. Yeah. So do everybody a favor. Just walk yourself off that stage, enjoy a nice meal, and get the hell out of this race.
I just fat shamed him. I'm telling you, man, this is who he is. This guy is a fucking punk. And you know what? Give me 5 minutes in a room with him and let him talk to somebody I know like that. I would snatch the fucking life out of that guy. He
doesn't know how to debate. He's like I said, schoolyard bully. He doesn't know how to debate. He's just insulting. And he thinks that he's going to win by insulting. Well, unfortunately, you don't have the Trump charm. You can't do what Trump did.
Just remember, Trump never did that. Trump never went after somebody like that. Trump doesn't. The only time Trump did that is when someone did it to him. Chris Christie did not say anything to Vivek that was like that. He fat shamed him, which, whatever, fine. You want to go ahead, you're getting a big boys ring. But Trump doesn't do that shit unless you do it to him. That's the difference between the two. Chris Christie fucking annihilated him. Pardon me, I'm just pissed at. This is so stupid. Once again, Donald Trump should be here. We should be talking about where this party's going, what we're going to be doing for the country, and all we're doing is playing to some fucking vaccine billionaire instead of focusing on what's important.
Comes to Nikki, I think if you're going to actually send your sons and daughters to go die in somebody else's war, excuse me, Chris, I'm speaking, and I'm not done yet.
Oh, jeez.
Holy shit.
Ow.
I hope I don't lose it. Hold on. Shit.
Surrounded the home of the
economic power.
Biden's push on this is the fact that his
for folks Ukraine that they want to send our troops to act.
Out on the stump and you say something, be able to
learn something from Chris Christie. A nice meal and get the hell out of this race. To go die in somebody else's war.
Hold on.
Excuse me, Chris, I'm speaking, and I'm not done yet.
It stops right there?
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know why it does. I don't want to lose it.
Nope.
Because we're a little bit behind, but there's a lot of people watching this too.
Where are we at?
I'm going to try to refresh the feed. We're at we're an hour and 3. I got to refresh the feed, unfortunately. Let's see if we can do this.
Barack Obama was president. So some of the
eats away at
China. That's why we need to end all normal trade relations with China until they stop murdering America.
Now a lot of the
that plans
daughters to go die in somebody else's war.
Hold on.
Excuse me, Chris, I'm speaking, and I'm not done yet.
I haven't
had
heard
your
a
chance,
time when you aren't
and we're going to be
speaking.
done. So listen up to this. If these people want to send your sons and daughters to go die in Ukraine, they've been arguing for it for a year. $200 billion of our taxpayer money sent over. Neither of them could even name for you the provinces that they actually want to protect. And this is the people who have been touting their so-called foreign policy experience. It is intellectual fraud. These people are lying to you, the same people who told you about...
Completely disagree with you. Trump, in no way, shape, or form, has ever acted like this, ever. Even with Rosie O'Donnell, his comments were cheeky, and his comments, not like, this guy's fucking angry. He's out of control. This is a type of guy who would have somebody whacked when he gets in charge of the CIA and the FBI. He's dangerous.
Yeah, he feels like he's getting backed in a corner instead of debating. He's lashing out and
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, what I would say is, listen, we certainly see your Indian behavior. Do you want to go ahead and smack Nikki Haley like you do your wife? I mean, you want to go ahead and pull the gloves off, pull them off.
Weapons and mass destruction in Iraq to justify that invasion.
Somebody
Didn't know
needs
the first
to ask
thing about
him
it.
What the names of the provinces are.
Oh, he knows that that's a loaded question. He's got it. But that's not the point. The point is please tell me the strategic advantages of allowing Ukraine to fend for itself. How does that make America safer? Let's simply answer that question. He can't answer that question. This guy's come loaded with gotcha questions. That's all he's got.
Yet they send thousands of our sons and daughters to go die. The same people who told you the same in Afghanistan, where the Taliban is still in charge 20 years later. 7 trillion of our
21. And you didn't serve, douchebag. You don't get to talk about Afghanistan.
national debt due to these toxic neocons. You can put lipstick on a Dick Cheney. It is still a fascist neocon.
Thank
and
you,
you
Mr.
gotta see that
Ramaswamy.
today.
Thank you, Mr.
It's Dick
Ramaswamy.
Cheney all over again in this party.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy. 15 seconds.
Name the provinces. Neither of you could even name the first thing about Eastern
I think we've had enough of this.
Think about that.
Let me just.
It's actually Crimea is the wrong answer.
I missed it. What did he say?
No, he's like, name the provinces. And so Nikki Haley named some provinces.
Right. Hold on a second. I missed it.
Daughters to go die. The same people who told you the same in Afghanistan.
I think we've had enough of this.
Think about that.
Let me just.
It's actually Crimea is the wrong answer.
All right. The floor is Christie's.
All right.
She said name some provinces.
You know, this is the kind of thing where he talks about experience. You know, I was the U.S. attorney in New Jersey when the terrorist attacks were launched against the United States in 2001. I brought the first two cases in this country against terrorists who tried to.
Trump, hold on. Oh God. We've got Femi J. Johnson. Oh God, here we go. Laws after hero vets. Trump, the Americans who died in a war are losers and suckers. Right. So can you go ahead and show me a recording? Can you please show me an affidavit? Can you show me a transcript? Can you show me video or audio of that statement that wasn't third party from a U.S. government official or someone who was well known to the situation? Please show me that. If you show that to me, I'll give you $10,000. I want to hear Trump say that. I want to hear that in a direct quote that he made in an affidavit, in sworn testimony, on White House transcribed records, instead of you just showing me, because you guys also said that he said very good people did some things good and bad in Charleston. Which, if you would have listened 15 seconds after that quote, he completely 100% disavowed all Nazis and white supremacists, and he even said, I'm not talking about these people, yet you guys used that quote. You're an idiot. You're an idiot because you don't know any better. And if you would watch my show for 5 minutes, you would understand that there are plenty of things you can go after Trump for. But why do you keep going after the mundane? I'm a vet. You don't look like a vet. Did you serve? Because let me tell you, I've also seen him come off Air Force One more than once. I've also seen him kneel down to a friend of mine who was a double amputee and put his hand on his hand and sit down and say a prayer over him and waved off all the press where Joe Biden would have stumbled, fallen over, and asked for a photo op. Give me a fucking break. You don't know anything about veterans. You don't know one bill that he passed for veterans. You don't care about veterans, and all you want to do is use us to prop up your fucking bullshit because you can't make an argument that's lucid and valid. So instead, you got to try the emotional fallacies on a quote that nobody can verify that is completely made up. You can also go ahead and talk about him supplying Vladimir Putin with the bounties and doing nothing about it, even though there's not one piece of intelligence that lends credence to that. There's not one government official who's led credence to that. There's not one person in the Joint Chiefs or the hierarchy of command of any of the armed forces who have said that that's valid, yet you're going to go ahead and say that. You don't deserve to have an opinion if your opinion is based on lies. Go and do some fucking research, learn what you're talking about, and use your mouth for what it's best for, sucking dick or chewing. Sick and tired of you fucking people.
Us again. And I know about the threat of terrorism and bullying in this country and around the world. And at that time, he was learning about the
And I apologize for the cussing and the degrading. I'm done with it. If you're going to sit here and lie about people, and I don't care if it's Joe Biden, if it's Donald Trump, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, I don't care. If you're going to lie, I'm going to defend people. You have plenty to go after Trump for. You can hit him on a plethora of things. But before you do that, I will do this. You go ahead and mention 10 things negative about Donald Trump. 10. I'll give you 100 positive. If I can do that, you owe me an apology. If I can't do that, I'll give you $10,000 cash to your Venmo or PayPal account right now. There's the phone number, 804-212-2208. Let's see what you can do. Put your money where your mouth is. Verifiable, absolutely quantifiable, to ensure that you can prove it to me that your little myths are real. I'll give you 100 things Donald Trump did well if you give me 10 that he did bad, and can actually talk about it with a basis of fact. You can't. $10,000. It stands.
Is in Ukraine, sitting with his smart-ass mouth at Harvard. That's what was going on. And so the fact of the matter is, and back then he was a Democrat. So the fact is that all he knows how to do.
Well, you were busy hugging Barack Obama, getting him elected.
Thank you.
All he knows how to do is insult good people who have committed their lives to public service, and not say anything that moves the ball down the field for the United States.
All right, thank you, Governor Christie. We are going to take a quick break, cool things down a little bit. When we come back, we're going to tackle issues on the southern border.
What do you think so far?
I didn't think I could dislike Shwarmy any more than I did, and I do.
Baklava shawarma? Yeah,
him.
See,
God, he's losing his shit tonight. He's off the freaking rocker, man. I can't believe he's just like blow after blow. Just
I don't know. And people are saying, why is Chris Christie on the stage? Chris Christie has been the only person who truly, in the spirit of a debate, has taken care of Vivek. I mean, he crushed him. I mean, multiple times. It's crazy. And listen, I'm not pissed. I'm just frustrated at just the stupidity of this country. Is that you guys are so fucking entrenched. You know, it's okay to like Trump and dislike him at the same time. It's okay to like Biden and dislike Biden at the same time. But it has become so polar opposite that nobody even looks up what they're saying anymore. They just immediately assume the worst and listen to these talking points. And people like Benny Johnson and Fox News blow sunshine up your ass. And all you do is just you make yourself look foolish. If you have some questions to Donald Trump about his presidency and if he'll do something different, it doesn't make you disloyal. Because their answer for that is, well, what about the alternative? No, that's not what I said. Because I don't want Joe Biden. But I want Donald Trump to speak on a few things that he did under his presidency, specifically about lockdowns. I would like to know. I would like to know about bump stocks. I would like to know about Second Amendment and red flag laws that he supported. I would like to know how he expects to get anything through the House and the Senate when he wasn't able to in 2016. I have questions about infrastructure. Will he repeal the Build Back Better Inflation Reduction Act? Will he continue to go after health care, even though it's completely unpopular to do so, and Obamacare? What is his stance on abortion? And is he willing to go ahead and push forward the right to life bill and the 15-week bill? These are questions I have. He hasn't answered.
Later policy that would amount to extrajudicial killing. You are a former military lawyer. Why do you think this idea of yours would be legal?
The drug cartels.
John Miller, you couldn't even describe what a rhino is. You don't even know. Republican.
He spelled it correctly.
Right, but Republican in name only. So you think DeSantis is a rhino?
Well, I asked him who. He hasn't answered me.
He won't. He doesn't know what a rhino is. He thinks we're rhinos. See, this is what you do. You hear something cool on the internet and you immediately espouse it, even though you have no idea what it means.
Here's the thing. The Republican Party was around before Donald Trump was president.
Yep.
And guess what? Donald Trump was Democrat before he ran for office as Republican. So just because we disagree with Trump does not make us rhinos or anyone else.
No. Not disagree with Trump on everything, because we'll vote for Trump if he's on the ticket.
Yeah.
But there are questions that we have. It's not even disagreement. I want to know. And I'm sorry, I can only hear about a rally so much about the stolen election in January 6th, where I don't find out what his policy is. I want to know. Oh, go listen to Hannity. I don't want to listen to Hannity. I want to watch the debate. And I want to see him here. And I want to see him handle these guys. But all I hear is, why should he? Well, because he's running for president. I don't know if you had heard.
Are invading our country, and they are killing our citizens by the tens of thousands every year. We had a situation in Florida. There was an 18-month-old baby that was crawling on the floor of an Airbnb rental. There was fentanyl residue on the carpet, and the baby died. Is this acceptable in this country? I know the elites in D.C., they don't care. They don't care that fentanyl's ravaging your community. They don't.
Hey, Mike, just lay off these comments. You're going to get hit with sexual harassment. I don't know what you're doing, bro. But you need to stop. If you know you have moderator privileges for my site and you are trying to get yourself banned, could you please stop doing what you're doing, or I'm going to ban you myself? Thanks.
That illegal aliens are ravaging our community and overwhelming our community. The commander-in-chief not only has a right, you have a responsibility to fight back against these people.
And does that mean shooting first?
It means you're gonna categorize them as foreign terrorist organizations, and we will identify, just like we would anywhere. When I was in Iraq, the Al-Qaeda wasn't wearing a uniform. You'd see anyone walking down the street, they all had man dresses on. You didn't know if someone had a bomb, an IED attached or not. And so you had to make a judgment based on intelligence, based on positive identification. But
they're going to hit him on that one.
To be able to get the intelligence on these cartel people. And here's the thing. If we had a wall across the southern border, which I support, this would not have happened. We need to build a wall across the southern border. I'll get it done, and Mexico is supposed to pay for it. Remember, here's how you do that. I am going to have fees on remittances from foreign workers when they send the money back to foreign countries. We're going to tax it, and we're going to build a wall with that. So, yes, you should have had that. But we don't have it. I'm going to build it. But we have to lean in.
So let me get this straight. Legal immigrants who work in this country, who decide to send money back home to their families, who work in the United States legally, you're going to impose a tax penalty on them for deciding where they're going to put their money. Yeah, you fucked up. You fucked up, AA Ron. Good luck, DeSantis. Good luck floating that you just lost the Hispanic vote, you dipshit. You can't tax illegal immigrants. First of all, it's unconstitutional. Second of all, people can spend their money wherever the fuck they want. If they want to put it in Mexico, if they want to send it to Canada, you can't.
What did he
said he's going to tax legal American citizens who send money back to Mexico to pay for the wall.
Oh, you just lost.
Yeah, you're fucking
this problem.
Good luck, buddy.
I am not going to sit there and allow mothers to lose more kids because of fentanyl overdose. I am not going to sit there and let sex trafficking go unabated or human trafficking go unabated. There's going to be a new sheriff in town, and these drug cartels better buckle up.
Thank you.
Yeah, you done fucked up. That soundbite is going to be played in every Democrat is going to have Nikki Haley and Chris Christie commercials laced with that and pay for that in opposition to get him. He's going to lose 5 to 6 points. The Hispanic vote just went, ¿Cómo?
Ambassador Haley, you have pledged to catch and deport all migrants who are here in this country illegally. But then you said in Londonderry, New Hampshire last month that you will not deport those who are working and paying taxes rather than feeding off the system. Which is it?
So first of all, what I said is all of the 7 or 8 million illegals that have come under Biden's watch absolutely have to go back. We have to stop the incentive of what's bringing them over here in the first place. Biden just gave temporary protective status to 500,000 Venezuelans. That's 500,000 Social Security cards. That's 500,000 driver's licenses. And I know from my time at the United Nations, the first thing they do is pick up the phone and said, we came over, come on over. And that's what sends more. You have to go and deport these people so they know it can't happen again. For those that have been here longer than that, we've got to start seeing who is it, how long have they been here, have they been vetted, have they paid taxes, have they been working, and figure out who else is out there. But what I know is my parents came here legally. They put in the time, they put in the price. They are offended by those that are coming illegally. We can't let them skip the line. But when you talk about fentanyl like you did before, let's look at something else. Yes, I think we should send special operations over and take out the cartels. I think we should do a remain in Mexico policy so they never step foot in U.S. soil in the first place. But look at where fentanyl came from. Let's go to the heart of the matter. It came from China. That's why we need to end all normal trade relations with China until they stop murdering Americans with fentanyl. I promise you, they need our economy. They will immediately stop that. But this is where Trump went wrong. Trump was good on trade, but that's all he was with China. because here he allowed fentanyl to continue to come over. He continued to allow them to he would give them technology that would build up their military and hurt us. He allowed the Chinese infiltration for them to buy up farmland, to put money in our universities, and to continue to do things that were harmful for America. We now have a spy base in Cuba and police stations, and Trump didn't do anything about it.
Thank you. China, though. I mean, listen.
Those are some of the questions I would like Donald Trump to answer. I don't know about anybody else. And this is a great opportunity for these questions to be answered and for him to challenge her. Listen, there is something called a death by a million paper cuts, and Donald Trump is getting it from all ends. He's getting it from the media establishment. He's getting it from the legal system. He's getting from the Democratic Party. He's getting it from the GOP. This guy, there is such thing as death by 1,000 paper cuts. And although his loyal base is there, this guy somehow has to find 7% of the vote to enter his fray. You guys can go ahead and say, all right, well, he's gained the black vote and Hispanic vote. Sure, he has gained a little bit, but he hasn't gained ground in the female vote. And he certainly hasn't curtailed or captured any of the younger vote at all. In fact, he's lost ground. Those are concerns. The truth is about the ebb and flow of the elections is they really are decided with about 3% of the electorate. That 3% are the undecideds. And those people need to be captured. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe Donald Trump is expanding their umbrella to go ahead and capture these people? If so, how? Because I haven't seen it. And either of you. Because if I haven't seen it, then you definitely haven't seen it. And it's not because I'm smarter. It's just because I do this all day long. And I have not heard Donald Trump say anything to the youth vote. I haven't seen him do anything to expand the female vote. In fact, I've seen him stand by and try to flirt with abortion regulation and how we want to go from a party platform, and was shot down, and people said that he was going to jump ship and all of a sudden focus on Roe v. Wade again in order to garner votes. How is he going to handle abortion? Because right now that is tied to us like an anchor, and I haven't heard anyone talk about how they're going to address that in this election. Because if you think that 2018 wasn't about abortion, and 2020 and 2022 and 2024 is not going to be about abortion, then I'm going to tell you what I told you last election in 2020. We're going to lose. And I've been telling you that now for 4 years. Maybe you'll start listening.
This is rich because when she was governor of South Carolina, she was the #1 ranked governor of bringing the CCP into her state. She wrote a love letter to the Chinese ambassador saying how great a friend China is. You can look at it. We put it on our website, rondesantis.com. There's also a video of her as governor standing in front of a Chinese flag with a Chinese business saying that she now works for them, talking about this Chinese company. So she's been very weak on China. Now, here's the problem. The rhetoric is different, but her donors, these Wall Street liberal donors, they make money in China. They are not going to let her be tough on China, and she will cave to the donors. She will not stand up for you.
15 seconds, Ambassador.
First of all, he's mad.
First thing I would say, I think she's going to do it, is if you had any donors, Ron, you would have to face this dilemma. That would have been a great sting. We'll see if she does it.
I like how she doesn't
Those Wall
interrupt.
Street donors used to support him.
Yeah.
UGAS, that he just did a rally there last year. Those Wall Street donors.
Saying that she now works for them, talking about this Chinese company. So she's been very weak on China. Now, here's the problem. The rhetoric is different, but her donors, these Wall Street liberal donors, they make money in China. They are not going to let her be tough on China, and she will cave to the donors. She will not stand up for you.
15 seconds, Ambassador.
First of all, he's mad because those Wall Street donors used to support him, and now they support me. The second thing is he has a company, a Chinese company, UGAS, that he just did a rally there last year. They have given you $340,000 in campaign donations
American company.
between them and their employees. They are tied to the Communist Chinese Party. Jinko Solar is another one. They went and expanded. You gave $2 million in subsidies.
I banned China from buying land in the state of Florida.
The Department of
I
Homeland
ejected the Confucius Institute. Nikki Haley brought Confucius Institutes to the universities in South Carolina.
That is not true.
I ejected them. So I have a record of standing up and do what's right. And here's the thing.
You have a record of lying.
She's trying to say things like that. Even the liberal media groups that usually if I say the sky is blue, they'll fact check me and say that's wrong. They looked at her charges. They said it was totally false, that they could not find one instance of me recruiting a Chinese business coming to Florida. You know why? Because we never recruited any Chinese businesses to the state of Florida.
Thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy. Over the past year, fentanyl has killed more than 75,000 Americans, 1,000 of them right here in Alabama. You have vowed to use the military to, quote, annihilate drug labs inside Mexico, something the president of Mexico said would be a hostile act. But fentanyl...
Nikki Haley's got to answer that one. Ron DeSantis turned that around on her. She lost that one. Honestly, this whole debate is between DeSantis and Haley. They're both getting their licks in. We'll see what Ramaswamy does.
Can easily be made anywhere, and labs that are shut down can easily and quickly...
Look how pissed he is. He's so mad. He's so angry. They should paint his hair orange and call him Naruto, Fireball. Look at him. He's so mad. He's mad.
...be replaced. Are your tough enforcement policies offering false hope to a country racked by addiction?
To the contrary, I don't think it's going to have to come to that if we deal with the actual demand side problem that we also have in this country. I mean, the easy part is talking about how we're going to use our military to secure the border. I will, and I believe that everybody else wants to do the same thing. But the harder part is dealing with the crisis of purpose and meaning, the mental health epidemic raging across this country like wildfire. And there's a reason why after the opioid crisis, you see fentanyl. And even after we get fentanyl, and we are going to be sure to make sure we do it, this one is worse for many reasons. They're illegally lacing it into pharmaceuticals, so it's more dangerous. But we're deluding ourselves. The real false promise here is thinking that we're going to have dealt with that underlying mental health epidemic in this country by just dealing with the demand side of it. But I want to get back to this issue of the root cause, because a lot of these are coming from labs in Wuhan, China, of all places. Drug materials that are going to the Mexican drug cartels that they're pumping across that southern border like a modern opium war. I think it is going to take a U.S. president that's going to have a very different conversation with Xi Jinping than what Joe Biden just had in California. I will tell Xi Jinping, you will not only not buy land in this country or donate to universities in this country. U.S. businesses won't expand into the Chinese market until they're playing by the same set of rules. And the same country that's putting fentanyl into illegal pharmaceuticals in Mexico, it's no...
You just heard it right here. This guy wants to take one of the fundamentals of capitalism and completely turn it by running an authoritative government rule over the free market. Now, that may not be socialism, but it certainly ain't capitalism. He just said that he will punish companies from going and expanding into China. That's including the $450 billion that China has invested annually in, Apple has invested in China. Do you know what that's going to do to the U.S. economy? That's one of the leaders in the NASDAQ. What's that going to look like for companies like Amazon? What's that going to look like for companies that are trying to expand in China to grow their overall platform? What's that going to look like for the price of aluminum and semiconductors in the United States because of Taiwan? If you are not going to allow companies to go into China, all you do is weaken the United States' position in China. What are you going to do? How are you going to find the money to go ahead and repurpose the land back and use eminent domain to give China? Because we already owe them $6.5 trillion. They have $6.5 trillion of our debt, and they own as much soil on the United States as New York. The entire state of New York. You're going to buy that back with what money? How are you going to stop American businesses from going there? How is that going to be constitutional? How is a federal government going to impose tax levies against American companies and penalize them? It certainly sounds like Obamacare. So instead of giving them the choice of health insurance, you're going to tax them with a penalty in order to force them to do it. And the same thing with companies. This sounds like Obamacare 2.0 for capitalism. This guy is a shill. He has bad ideas and bad personalities in a really good suit with really bad hair.
Coincidence is the exact same country that also unleashed hell on the world with the COVID-19 pandemic. We also have to hold them accountable with every financial lever that we have available. That is what it actually means to stand with a spine. And you mark my words, if we're willing to stand with the spine, China will absolutely have to fold because they're in a tougher spot than we are. And then we're back to playing by the same set of rules.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy. Thank you. Let's talk about the economy. Ambassador Haley, homeownership has always been part.
Not one person is going to hit him on free market economy. I just want to let you know that. The fundamental principle outside of our republic and our democratically elected representatives is capitalism. It is the one thing that makes us unique. We are the only sovereign country in the world with a republic, representative republic, through democratic voting system with free market capitalism driving our country. We're the only one, the true one. It has made the United States the most powerful and successful country in world history. And this guy just said he wants to shut down free market capitalism, and not one person on stage
The
called him
American
out.
dream, but it's increasingly out of reach for younger Americans. This year, mortgage rates reached 30-year highs. Home prices have risen $190,000 over the past decade. Is this the free market at work? Or should the federal government do something to make homes more?
I think we should tax homeowners. I think we should, if you buy a home, you should get taxed 50% and be penalized.
Affordable.
Well, first of all, I mean, you're exactly right. My daughter just got married, and I saw how hard it was for her and her husband to buy a home. Right now, the average homeowner in America is 49 years old. You've got young people everywhere. That used to be the American dream, and now it's out of reach. But you look at what happened. You first of all look at what the Fed did. The Fed did a terrible job when they allowed all of that money to go through. You saw the Treasury bond rates go up. That affected mortgage rates, that affected automobile rates, that affected insurance rates. And so now we have a high interest rate. You've got a supply issue. Ask any builder. The supply issues have continued to be there. That's caused the rate to go up. And then you've got insurances that have gone up. And so what you have is a lot of younger people who, one, can't afford a home, but two, the banks aren't lending them any money. They've made the regulations so hard that they don't want to give loans on mortgages anymore. So what we have to do is we have to open it up. We have to, one, grow our economy so that people have more.
Thomas, you just said, did I just hear Matt lose his mind? What did I say? Olivia, did I say something that I lost my mind?
Maybe your sarcastic comment about taxing homeowners 50%?
Oh yeah, that was a joke. It was well, he wants to tax people who want to create business in China and tax them to death. So I'm like, oh, well, if you buy a home, you get taxed 50%. I mean, this is the type of ideas that are coming in this free market capitalistic conversation. It was sarcasm.
Money in their pockets. We've got to look at the supply chain and make sure that we are funneling that so that builders don't have to sit there and go overseas to find things. And then we need to make sure that we really stop paying down this debt, make sure that we stop the...
Oh, we have a genius here. Sab, whatever, says Nikki equals corrupt, lots of laughs. Yeah, any adult that uses LOL, yeah, you don't get any. How's your dial-up on AOL? Is it okay? Are you enjoying your gateway computer, or do you have a Dell? Maybe a Compaq. 8-track, listening to Mac Davis, rocking out the tunes on the hi-fi system? I bet you are. Maybe later you can go for an Orange Julius and listen to some ABBA.
Stop the spending.
LOL.
I'll veto any spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels, because our kids are not going to forgive us for all the spending that happened. And as much as everybody wants to talk about how Donald Trump had a good economy, $9 trillion in debt he did just in 4 years. And we're all paying the price of that, including those mortgage prices.
We're going to come back to President Trump.
Another question I would love to have Donald Trump talk about and answer. Why don't you?
I promise. Governor DeSantis, the latest News Nation Decision Desk poll found that inflation tops the worries of American voters. 61% say they're very concerned, and the working class is hardest hit. Economists say this was fueled by a glut of federal spending. The Biden administration has added $6 trillion to the national debt so far. But President Trump wasn't exactly a penny pincher. His administration added $7.8 trillion. Do Republicans, including President Trump, share the blame for inflation? And what concrete steps would a President DeSantis take to help Americans make ends meet?
The borrowing, printing, and spending of money was both parties in Washington, D.C. That's just a fact.
Yep.
These Republicans in Washington have spent. It's driven your prices higher.
Correct.
And it's driven your interest rates to the point where you can't afford. I met a young fella in Iowa. He had graduated college a couple years ago, and he's like, Governor, I don't have a chance. I'm gainfully employed. He's like, I have no chance to afford a home and start a family. That is taking the American dream away from people. So we're going to get the inflation down. We're going to get the interest rates down. We are going to reduce spending, and I will be willing to veto, and I vetoed a lot as governor of Florida, and we'll do that. We're also going to open up all of...
Dana's making a great point here. I'm not going to read it because we don't have a lot of time, but I'd like you guys to read it. It's on the screen. I'll keep it up.
Domestic energy for production. Lower your gas prices, lower the price of fuel. That's going to help the economy. It also help jobs, and we'll do it. But, you know, another thing that's burdening young people are these student loans. Now, I don't support having a truck driver having to pay a student loan for someone that got a degree in gender studies. That is wrong. We should not have taxpayers do that. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to get to the root cause of the problem. These student loans are going to be backed by the universities because they need to have an incentive to produce gainful employment for people. They should not be indulging in ideological studies. They should be focusing on things that work. And we're going to take some of this money and we're going to move it to actual vocational training. In Florida, we doubled apprenticeships. We have more truck drivers. These are in-demand skills. Don't let anybody tell you that the only way you can be successful is through a 4-year brick and ivy degree. That's one way you can be. It's not the only way, and we're going to fix that problem in the United States of America.
It's a good answer. Dana, good comment, by the way. Just wanted to keep it up there for the viewers to read. It's refreshing to have some people in here besides the regulars who actually have a brain in their fucking head. Pardon my French.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you've praised cryptocurrency like Bitcoin as an opt-out from our, quote, broken financial architecture, and you oppose efforts to regulate it. The head of the largest international crypto exchange just pleaded guilty to allowing his platform to launder money for terrorists, including Hamas. You say your cryptocurrency plan will, quote, ensure economic freedom for Americans, end quote. Won't it also ensure economic freedom for fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists?
Look, fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists have been defrauding people for a long time. Our regulations need to catch up with the current moment. The fact that SBF was able to do what he did at FTX shows that whatever they have as the current framework isn't working. And I think it is nothing short of embarrassing that Gary Gensler, the current leader of the SEC, in front of Congress, could not even say whether Ethereum counted as a regulated security or not. And so I think that this is just...
This is where Ramaswamy can separate himself from everybody because he understands business and he understands big money. This is where he'll shine. He won't attack because I want you to watch a pattern. I've been watching this guy now for a little less than a year and I've got him figured out. Whenever he doesn't know what to say, he attacks people. Whenever he does, he stays on point and he really nails the answer. This is one of those examples.
Another example of the administrative state gone too far. Here's the dirty little secret in American politics today. The people who we elect to run the government are not the ones who are even actually that are writing regulations that Congress never gave them the authority to write. And the good news is a U.S. president can absolutely fix that. That takes a...
This breakup's on my end. Don't leave. It's on my end.
U.S. president with a spine. So what I've said is in my administration, by the end of year one, we will have a 75% reduction in the number of federal bureaucrats. We will shut down government agencies that should not exist. We will...
Do you hear him roll his R there? Federal?
Mm-hmm.
Is this guy Indian or Hispanic? I'm just wondering. It's very, very weird. I don't know. Okay.
Any regulation that fails the test.
All right. John Miller, let me explain something. I've asked you a question. I've engaged with you, trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. If you're going to simply spam the word rhinos every few minutes, let me just say, there's not much that annoys me on my channel, but people who have little or no substance, they kind of do. So you obviously have an opinion. Take a few seconds, write it out, see what you come up with, and you might have a comment that is strong, or you might get laughed at. Challenge you to define what you mean by rhinos. I would like to know, is it me? Is it my wife? Or is it the people on stage? That is something I would like to hear. Thanks.
West Virginia versus EPA, which is the most important Supreme Court case of our lifetime, that said if Congress didn't delegate that to an administrative agency.
The Republicans work for the deep state Democrats. Okay. Maybe you should just keep writing rhinos. Never mind.
Then it's unconstitutional. These are seismic changes. These are big changes that the next president can deliver without asking Congress for permission or for forgiveness.
Right. You want to talk about the uniparty? Well, absolutely. There is a very large portion of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party who essentially play show ponies. But to say that all Republicans are a part of the uniparty, well, you can look at the voting record. That's simply not true. But yeah, there's a very large uniparty element. People like Lindsey Graham, Kevin McCarthy, who resigned today. Bye, Kevin. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. There are plenty who are uniparty. Tom Massey is uniparty because you can sit here and say, wait a second, I love Tom Massey. He's amazing. He's done great videos. Go look at his voting record. Go look at Tom Massey's voting record and get back to me and tell me he's a Republican. See, the funny thing is you guys assume that just because they're a Republican, they agree with Trump, and that's not the way it works. That's not what makes a Republican. A Republican has conservative values, and these guys don't. None of them do. They all vote for big spending. You want to see what a Republican looks like? Go look at somebody like Eli Crane. You want to see what a Republican look like? And you're going to get upset. Go look at Cheney, who I despise. I can't stand Liz Cheney. I think she's a fucking horrible human being. But her voting record, 93% she in favor voted with Trump. So if you want to know what, Liv, your definition of a Republican in name only is anyone who disagrees with Trump, and that's not what it is. A Republican in name only is a person who votes against conservative values. Donald Trump is not the Republican Party. Donald Trump is a Republican candidate for president. There's a very big difference. So when you say rhinos, I don't know what you're talking about. If you want to say uniparty, I can understand that. But the people you guys think are rhinos aren't. And the people who are, you don't call out. And it baffles me. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a rhino. She's not a Republican. Lauren Boebert is not a Republican. She's not a conservative. I don't understand how you can say she's a conservative. Please demonstrate to me, based upon her not showing up for votes, maligning with Kevin McCarthy, who is probably one of the biggest unipartiers and neocons there is, and she votes him in? She doesn't show up to the vote to ouster him? Marjorie Taylor Greene stood in Kevin McCarthy's corner. You call those people conservatives? Give me a break. I think you guys need to redefine rhinos. It's a clever term, but it's been changed. It's like the word Nazi and homophobic and xenophobic and transphobic. They don't mean what they used to mean. They used to mean you hated trans people or you hated black people or you didn't like people of color. Now it means anyone who likes Trump. So we're not the only party that does it. Don't fret. Democrats do it as well.
And I want people to understand that distinction.
What's up?
Amy Stamkome had the best comment.
What did she say?
Rhinos are heavy unicorns.
Right. Very, very fat unicorns.
People have been sold myths by politicians for a long time saying, I'm going to work with Congress to do this or that. Much of what you've heard on the stage from the other politicians fit that description. They need Congress. The things that I'm promising you, this is what the leader of the executive branch gets to do under Article 2 of the Constitution.
Thank you, sir.
Cut down the bureaucracy.
Well,
that's how we grow our
sir.
economy and put the Federal Reserve in its place. This is part of the crypto discussion.
No.
90%
Mr.
headcount reduction at the Fed.
You're out of time. 15 seconds, Governor DeSantis.
So one of the dangers that we're going to face, Biden.
How we doing? You going to bed, hon? Tired. I love you, sweet pea. This girl right here is running a play. I want to show you the sweater she's wearing. Go Navy, by the way. That Navy.
She stole it from me. That was mine.
That Navy the sweater is almost 30 years old, provided by the government, has been washed 1,000 times. And look at it. It is in perfect condition. The print is in perfect condition. And there's not a hole or a thread loose. It's perfect. Doesn't matter. It's perfect. That's provided by the U.S. government. That was my basic training workout gear in Chicago for the winter.
You worked out in this?
Yeah, you had to. So
it's been washed, dear.
Oh.
Get out of there. Get out of
Jeez,
there.
hated.
The point is 30 years old, and don't tell me the government can't do something right when it tries. I love you. Good night.
Hey, not you, your father. 156 watching on Rumble.
Wow.
Holy shit.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Rumble people.
Central
I'll continue
bank
to
digital
play.
currency.
Anybody being negative over there?
No, everyone's.
I can't hear you.
It's 178 now.
No, I'm just telling it. Okay. Love you. Good night.
No, everyone's being so
They want to get rid of cash, crypto. They want to force you to do that. They'll take away your privacy. They will absolutely regulate your...
Real quick, if you guys haven't liked the show, go out Facebook and hit the like button. We've only got like 60 some odd likes, but we've got a couple hundred people watching. We've got Rumble, almost 150 people watching. Do me a favor, please.
178 now.
Okay, if you're over on Rumble, please follow us, guys. Just throw us a follow. We're trying so hard to grow. It is really hard to compete with the Bonginos. It's really hard to compete with the Charlie Kirks and the guys like that who've established themselves with Rumble, who are the bread and butter. They're not very interested in promoting our pages. So do me a favor. It's just as bad as YouTube over on Rumble. Help us out. Just throw us a follow, throw us a like. That means the world. Thanks.
Hey, repeat one more time for new people who have come on.
Yeah.
We have to stop the show every once in a while.
Yep.
For copyright issues. If all we do is play the debate for the full 2 hours, we will get hit with copyright, and that's not a good thing.
Yep.
So for all of the newcomers, Forward 13 on Rumble, no, we're not just going to play the damn video. If you would like to watch the damn video, go watch it on your own dime, on your own cable TV.
Yeah.
If not, you've come to a talk show. We talk.
Yeah.
So either stay and enjoy the commentary or leave.
Yep.
And go watch it yourself. Either way, more power to you.
Awesome. Carson, you look like John Boy from John Boy Media, man. Also, good comment. Thanks, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks.
Purchases. On day one as president, we take the idea of central bank digital currency and we...
Yeah, Olivia's going to get you. It's at the Dumb Show.
What's the I can't see the
Facebook.
comments.
Janice needs the link to Rumble. So just copy the link on Rumble and paste it in chat. My tags everywhere are at the Dumb Show. TheDumShow.
Also go to YouTube and give us a thumbs up and a subscribe, please.
It's right down on the bar. You can see it. Follow us at the Dumb Show. You can also follow us over on Spreely.tv. That is going. We're going to be announcing that shortly. We're going to. I think it's like 81 million people on TV. So this is huge. That's going to be on Apple TV, Fire Stick, Roku. Everything. So Spreely.tv, the Freedom Hub app, if you download it, it's almost done. But that's a big announcement we're going to be bringing out and rolling it out to everybody that we've been picked up by Spreely TV. All right, let's watch the debate.
Throw it in the trash can. It'll be dead on arrival.
I agree with that. Gotta go to break. Gotta get a break. I have a whole second hour to get to. It's exciting. And when we come back, we gotta...
Kids are...
Country. We're not going to let them stay.
On the front runner on this stage, as Governor Christie pointed out, and less so for most of you, on the front runner in this race, Donald Trump. We invited him to come tonight, as you know, but he declined to come. But we'd like to ask you a couple questions about him now. Ambassador Haley, former President Trump recently promised, if he's reelected, to bring back and expand his program restricting immigration from Muslim countries. Here he is in Iowa on October 16th.
No longer will we allow dangerous lunatics, haters, bigots, and maniacs.
Okay. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it one more time. Some people are no longer moderators because they tried to stop viewers from enjoying themselves. I will only go after a viewer who goes after me. I will only go after a viewer who comes in and is an obnoxious dick. But that's my choice since I am the owner of the show. That is what I bring to the table. And I speak my mind and tell them, nobody else gets to do that in this channel. Okay? So if you were a former moderator and now you're not, maybe that's the reason you weren't. Or aren't. Your job is not to come in here and just attack anyone that says anything you don't like. That's not what we're doing here. Please do me a favor and stop alienating people who have a different opinion than you. I'm not going to say it again. And I've been about as nice as I can. Knock it off. For the love of God, grow some skin.
To get residency in our country. We're not going to let them stay here. If you empathize with radical Islamic terrorists and extremists, you're disqualified. You're just disqualified.
Ambassador Haley, do you support President Trump's plan for ideological screening?
Well, I don't think that you have a straight-up Muslim ban as much as you look at the countries that have terrorist activity that want to hurt Americans. You can ban those people from those countries. That's the way we should look at it, is which countries are a threat to us. You look at what came across the southern border. What worries me the most are those that came from Iran, from Yemen, from Lebanon, those areas where they say death to America. That's where you want to be careful. It's not about a religion. It's about a fact that certain countries are dangerous and are threats to us. A president has one job, and that's to keep Americans safe. And that's what we've got to do, is make sure that we have good national security in that process. And that's the way you should look at it, is where the terrorist threats are, how we're going to deal with it, and what we're doing about it. And the biggest threat we have right now is communist China. But you have to also look at what Iran and Russia are doing as well. And we need to be paying attention to that. That's why we have to focus on things like cyber, on space, on artificial intelligence, and not just the regular things that we've always focused on.
It's not just terrorism, though. That's important. But look what's happened in Europe. You have more anti-Semitic.
See, this is what a debate should look like. Someone presents their ideas, and someone either expands on it or changes the direction. He's going to go into illegal immigration. This is a fantastic point. England, France, Germany have lost their sovereignty to illegal immigration. It's going to happen here in the United States. When Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis push the Republican and conservative viewpoints, it normalizes a playing field of craziness. This is what it should look like. Now, if he wants to challenge Haley, he can certainly say that. Listen, there's a few things that I think Nikki Haley or Governor Haley missed. Here's what they are. Or I disagree with Haley on this point. That's what a debate is. This other bullshit is romper room on crack or fentanyl.
In Germany than at any time since Adolf Hitler. Why? Because they imported mass numbers of people who reject their culture. Europe is committing suicide with the mass migration, and it's illegal and legal. Nikki Haley said the other day there should be no limits on legal immigration, and that corporate CEOs should set the policy on that. There needs to be limits on immigration, and we should not be importing people from cultures that are hostile. So, for example, I said with the Gaza, you had some of the squad.
Yeah, you could say ambassador or governor, but truly, governor holds more prominence than an ambassador, to be honest. So, ambassador to the UN, who gives a shit? I think governor is the president of a state. That's pretty important.
Wanted to import 300,000 people from the Gaza Strip. I said, no, we're not taking anyone from Gaza because of the anti-Semitism and because they reject American culture. So we've got to get smart about this. We cannot let the United States be like Europe.
So there's a lower-hanging fruit here, if I may just hit this point, because it relates to what they just said. There are things that the government can do right now that nobody's talking about amongst the professional politicians in this.
Paul, you can watch my show anywhere. Facebook is the best place to watch it because we make the most ad revenue off Facebook. But honestly, these live shows don't make enough for me to care. I wish that everybody would watch it on Spreely TV, honestly. Watch it on their Roku, their Fire Stick, or watch it online at Spreely TV. Because that network, that is a true freedom network. And it is one of the best I've seen. And what they're doing, they're bringing in some amazing podcast hosts. There's Patriot Barbies over there. Dominic Izzo is over there. Myself, Matt Couch. These are people who truly are just giving you the nuts straight, right? They're maybe not some of the most eloquent people when it comes to some of the choice of words they use, because they can get a little abrasive like myself, but they're giving you the honest, straight truth. Spreely TV is Speak Freely. It's what it's short for. And this is going to be a big network, and I will put it up against any of the, TPUSA or PragerU. They're doing great things. I would challenge you to watch them. So you watch where is most comfortable for you.
What about all of the illegals who are already here? Here's the answer. There's 287G in the law. That is a provision that already allows ICE agents to deputize or allow local law enforcement to enforce those ICE warrants. And it shocks me that nobody in the Republican Party is talking about it, because there are 1 million then officials, law enforcement officials in this country. And against that backdrop, we absolutely have the ability to
Thank
deport
you.
anybody who's in this country illegally.
Thank you,
we
Mr.
need to be talking about
Ramaswamy.
more in this country.
Thank you. Governor Christie.
I actually did that as governor of South Carolina.
Governor Christie asked last night in Iowa whether he would be a dictator if he wins a second term in office. Donald Trump quipped, no, quote, except for day one, promising to seal the southern border. He has also pledged to begin the largest deportation operation in American history, saying that migrants are, quote, poisoning the blood of our country. He has pledged to round up and expel an estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. What do you make of that plan?
I think it's completely predictable. I mean, look, he's made it very clear. There's no mystery to what he wants to do. He started off his campaign by saying, I am your retribution. 8 years ago, he said, I am your voice. This is an angry, bitter man who now wants to be back as president because he wants to exact retribution on anyone who has disagreed with him, anyone who has tried to hold him to account for his own conduct. And every one of these policies that he's talking about are about pursuing a plan of retribution. And yet, at the first debate, my three colleagues on this stage, when asked if he would be convicted of federal felonies, would they still support him, raise their hand, looked into the camera, and let everybody know that they would still support him even if convicted of federal felonies. Federal felonies, by the way. Federal felonies which involve our election process, federal felonies which involve the most sensitive of our governmental secrets, federal felonies where he instructed others to commit crimes, folks who are now agreeing to go to jail because of what they did in his name. So do I think he was kidding when he said he was a dictator? All you have to do is look at the history. And that's why failing to speak out against him, making excuses for him, pretending that somehow he's a victim, empowers him. You want to know why those poll numbers are where they are? Because folks like these three guys on the stage make it seem like his conduct is acceptable. Let me make it clear. His conduct is unacceptable. He's unfit. And be careful of what you're going to get. If you ever got another Donald Trump term, he's letting you know, I am your retribution. He will only be, Elizabeth, he will only be his own retribution. He doesn't care for the American people. It's Donald Trump.
All right. This is a great time to throw Larry Cox up here. It says Trump had a chance to be a neutral president using good business decisions in his presidency, but he instead decided to attack Americans' race. Please give me some specific examples of attacking people's race. Attack a political party. Please give me specific examples of him attacking a political party, please. Incite 2 mass shootings. Please give me an example of the mass shootings you're saying he incited. Attack the planet with EPA violations. The Environmental Protection Agency isn't a global entity. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Would you like to go ahead and specify how he attacked the planet when the EPA oversights the United States? Now, they're on advisory boards for a global perspective, but the EPA isn't in charge of global initiatives for climate advocacy or anything about protecting the environment. You're inaccurate. Attack China trade. Attack China trade by putting a tariff on imports and them dumping steel in the United States. So you believe a trade deficit isn't an attack on America, but stopping a trade deficit or trying to impose regulation that would impact trade deficit from a negative standpoint is attacking America. You have a funny way of saying that. Attack small business owners. How? By deregulating with 841 pieces of regulation in the first 90 days that relieved pressures that Obama put on for deregulating, from small business loans to expanding to adding additional payroll to tax brackets to overall EPA regulations, the ones that you're touting that you want a global influence on, even though they only impact the United States. Ignoring coronavirus during inception. Well, certainly he didn't do a very good job with it, did he? But neither did Joe Biden, neither did anybody. In fact, Joe Biden had more deaths in his year than Donald Trump had in his. So I don't know what to tell you, because the first 90 days, he had a 76% approval from the United States. Until CNN put up the death ticker and everyone started talking about the horrible things he was doing, Donald Trump inherently said some stupid things. He says stupid things. Did he handle coronavirus the best way? No, I don't think he should have done Operation Warp Speed. I'm not in favor of lockdowns. So you and I can agree on one thing that you've written. Incite a race protest? What? What race protest did Donald Trump incite? Kidnap children using ICE? You mean the ones that Obama and Biden put in place in 2014? It's not kidnapping when people break the law. When parents are arrested for breaking the law, illegal immigration, drugs, rape, any type of organized crime, if there are children in the car, they're actually going to be taken in custody by the government. We do that all the time. It's called CPS, fuckwad. And lastly, attack the Capitol and get impeached twice. Donald Trump didn't attack the Capitol, and he did get impeached twice. But you know what impeachment means? Impeachment's a parking ticket. There has to be no basis for it. It's just like a grand jury. You can convene a grand jury and not have enough evidence found, but the grand jury was convened. That's what impeachment is. He wasn't convicted in the Senate. In fact, he was absolved of those things. Now, you can say that that was a Republican-ran Senate. Well, I can say the same thing when it came to Bill Clinton, and I can say the same thing that Richard Nixon dodged it too, but that doesn't make it true. Your entire comment is laced with a bunch of bullshit, Larry, and I'm disappointed in you because with a name like Larry Cox, I didn't expect you to be one. Next.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis. Thank you. Thank you. Governor DeSantis. Donald Trump would be older on day one.
Mickelson Janthith. I'm not Jath, whatever the fuck your name is. I have no desire to let people listen. This is a talk show. I'm not your cable provider. If you want to watch the debates unmolested, then go pay for cable and get it yourself. Otherwise, you're going to have to deal with the fact that this is a talk show. People interact and they say things, and I'm going to go ahead and address them. I'm sorry you don't like that. Maybe this show isn't for you. The View is 3 doors down if you want to go there. If you want to see some memes that are more your style, maybe Occupy Democrats will enlighten you. I'm not
Second presidency than Joe Biden was on day one of his first. You have said Trump is not the same man he was when he ran in 2016. Your campaign is running ads showing Trump confused. And you have said he has, quote, lost the zip on his fastball. You seem to be saying Donald Trump is no longer mentally fit to be president. Is that what you think?
Look, he is showing father time is undefeated. The idea that we're going to put someone up there that's almost 80 and there's going to be no effects from that, we all know that that's not true. And so we have an opportunity to do a next generation of leaders and really be able to move this country forward. We also need a president that can serve 2 terms. I don't think Donald Trump, I think he's going to have, I don't think he'd be able to get elected. The Democrats want him to be the nominee. We see that. They are going to turn the screws the minute, if he got the nomination,
but do you think he's
you're going to see
mentally
it.
fit to be president?
I think we need to have somebody younger. I think when you get up to 80, I don't think it's a job for that. But let me just respond to some of the things there. Look, the media is making a big deal about what he said about.
Nice follow-up question was, how do you feel about the Supreme Court?
Comments. I would just remind people that is not how he governed. He didn't even fire Dr. Fauci. He didn't fire Christopher Wray. He didn't clean up the swamp. He said he was going to drain it. He did not drain it. He said he was going to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it. We don't have the wall. He did say in 2016 he'd have the largest deportation program in history. He deported less than Barack Obama did when Barack Obama was president. So some of these policies he ran on in 2016, I was cheering him on then, but he didn't deliver it. Here's what I can promise people. 100% of the things I promised as governor, I delivered on those promises. I beat the left time and time again, and that's what I'll do for you as president. We got to start winning again as a party. Yes, win the election, but we've got to start getting these issues. I will.
Last segment here. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock, and then we got to go.
Go in and wreak havoc on this bureaucracy. You will see people fired, and we are going to bring a reckoning for how this government handled COVID-19.
Here's what irritates Now, Chris, you had your chance to wax eloquent on Donald Trump. You've been doing it all this whole race.
Why doesn't he just answer the question? The question was very direct. Is he fit to be president or isn't he? The rest of the speech is interesting, but completely non-responsive. And if we were in a courtroom, they'd strike the answer and say, Governor DeSantis.
No, they wouldn't. They would say that
you're a smart man.
No, they would. No, they wouldn't.
They would
Chris.
strike the answer because you're not answering
you
it.
Just
is he
don't
fit?
like. You have your thing.
Is he fit or isn't he? No, I don't have my thing.
We don't.
He's the thing. Is he fit or isn't he?
Do
you're talking about him being 80 years old.
It doesn't mean that somebody couldn't get elected. That's up to the people that
Governor DeSantis, let him finish. Governor DeSantis, let him finish.
Ron,
I think we have an opportunity to do somebody who is in the prime of their life. You don't have to worry about all this stuff with Ron.
I wish DeSantis would just answer the fucking question. But we all know why Ron DeSantis won't. Listen, this is the same thing with Marco Rubio when he went ahead and called him Little Marco. It's the same thing with Ted Cruz when he said his dad was responsible for killing Kennedy and one of the culprits in Kennedy. He also talked shit about his wife. If any man ever did that to me, I don't give a fuck who he is. I would never put my support behind him, and I would call him out as a piece of shit for the rest of his existence. At least Christie's consistent to what a man would do. I don't agree with Christie. I think Christie's a blowhard, but at least he's consistent. He doesn't like Trump. He doesn't like that he called him fat. He doesn't like that he embraced Obama. He doesn't like that he didn't give him a position on the administration. Okay, you know what? I don't care about any of that. But he does, and at least he consistently hates Trump. Good. Trump does the same thing. Trump, once you burn Trump, he'll never accept you back. That's just not the way it works. DeSantis will not say, he's called him DeSanctimonious. He's talked about his platforms. He's talked him being a little man, a traitor, non-loyal. If I was DeSantis, I'd say, no, he's not fit to run for president. That's why I'm running. But he doesn't have the courage because he knows, listen, DeSantis, you're not getting Trump supporters anyway. You might as well stand your ground. But he won't, because all he's playing for is 2028.
DeSantis,
we can get it done,
Stop.
and we'll do it.
I'm going to come to you. Finish.
Look, Father Time is undefeated. I don't know how he would score on a test, but I know this. We have an opportunity to nominate someone and elect someone for 2 terms who's going to be spitting nails on day one and for 8 years
so
deliver
you think he's
big
fit.
result. We should
think.
not nominate somebody
He won't answer.
who's almost 80 years old.
He's afraid to answer.
That's right. That's right. He's afraid. As much as Donald Trump's afraid to be there, Ron DeSantis is afraid to answer. And until Donald Trump shows up, he is. And until Ron DeSantis answers, he is. Because that's the way it works, folks. It's not hard. Just answer the question. He's fit or he's not fit.
I'm not.
You have to either you're afraid or you're not listening.
No, it's not.
There's a simple
you
question.
Don't want to hear the
Is he
answer
fit?
because you have,
Is he
I know you
fit?
have the
Nobody can hear this. No one can hear you. They can't hear you. You finish and then you get it back.
All right. Look, I'm a simple guy. Okay? I hear the question and I answer it. Is he fit or isn't he? I'll concede you're fit, Ron. You're a new generation. You're 44 years old. I wish I was still 44 years old. Okay?
45.
So, well, congratulations. I'd still take 45. Is he fit or isn't he? And this is the problem with my 3 colleagues. They're afraid to offend. And let me tell you something. If you're afraid to offend Donald Trump,
I wouldn't move this debate forward until he answers the question. This is why these things are such a fucking sham. And Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan or any of those guys, or even myself, will never get a chance to run a debate because I'll be like, you know what? Chris Christie gets the rest of the time until Ron DeSantis answers the question. Vivek, Nikki, are you going to sit here and allow this to happen? Because you have a chance to talk to the American people. We ain't fucking moving until we're going to commercial break before he answers the question. This debate's over. Because we're going to get one candidate off the stage. Tonight, we're going to get one of the weakest links out. Ron DeSantis, you're going to go home. Because we're not going to invite you back to another debate unless you answer the fucking question. So next time we'll have 3. And then the next time one of you do this, we'll have 2. I am so sick and tired. These people do not fucking work for the media companies. They work for us. He needs to answer the question. Answer the question.
then what are you going to do when you sit across from President Xi, you sit across from the Ayatollah, you sit across from Putin? You have to be willing to offend with the truth.
Okay.
And answer the question. Fit or unfit?
Okay, listen.
Fit or unfit?
I promised Ron DeSantis a minute and not a full minute.
I've got
a second.
It is not about
You
offending.
can weigh in and then we're moving
It's
on.
about pointing out, do you want to elect somebody who will be older than Biden was when he went in 2021?
So he's unfit, right?
I don't think he's as bad as Biden was at all. But I do think that over a 4-year period, it is not a job for somebody that's pushing 80. We need somebody that's younger. We need somebody that's going to be able to go in there and clean house on day one and do it for 2 terms. And I'll be able to
Here's
do
my
that.
issue with all 3 of my other colleagues on this debate stage, is all 3 of them have been licking Donald Trump's boots for years for money and endorsements. Ron DeSantis, you've been a great governor, but you would have never been one without actually begging Donald Trump for that endorsement.
And you attacked
Same
him
thing
in
for
your
Nikki
book a
Haley.
year ago.
Same thing with Chris Christie as a lobbyist, begging them for COVID money for his special interests in New Jersey, prepping him for the debates last time around. These people are now Monday morning quarterbacking some decision he made. I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. Why am I the only person on the stage, at least, who can say that January 6th now does look like it was an inside job? That the government lied to us for 20 years about Saudi Arabia's involvement in 9/11? That the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing...
17 of the terrorists were Saudi Arabian. This hasn't been a lie. Everyone knows that Saudi money did that. What do you want to do? Collapse the U.S. economy and go to war with Saudi Arabia because terrorist groups were haven there? They were also from Iran. They were also from Afghanistan. They also had ties to Iraq. They also had money in Deutschland, if you knew that as well. You can go to Libya. You can go to Russia. There were bank accounts all over the world. This was a very complicated event that took place. That would be like you going ahead and saying that the Japanese were only responsible for Pearl Harbor, which is a complete bullshit lie, because there was ties to China. There was ties to Russia as well. And a lot of the world stage that was made in the peace treaties and the Versailles treaties, the Japanese were put in the back corner, not allowed to sit at the table. And you can talk about the English being responsible and the French being responsible for that, including the United States. These are very complicated issues. This guy is coming off the rails tonight, and he just did it for me. Liv, we're going to wrap up. I'm sorry, baby.
Conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform. That the 2020 election was indeed stolen by big tech. That the 2016 election, the one that Trump won for sure, was also one that was stolen from him by the national security establishment that actually put up the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that they knew was false. There's a reason why I'm the only person on the stage who can say these things. That's what it's going to take, not people who are licking his boots one time and now Monday morning quarterbacking him and criticizing him when it's convenient.
Governor Chris.
I told you all along that Vivek was opposition, and I just proved it. And I'm not going to say another fucking word. I told all of you he was there to run oppo for this debate, and he just showed you. That is the Donald Trump playbook, if you've ever heard it. If you think that he's not running for VP, there it is. Merry Christmas, folks. That's all I've got for tonight. I'll try to watch the rest for tomorrow. I owe my wife a back rub and an evening of us having a great night. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Olivia, did you want to say anything? I know you're super tired because you worked all day.
No, my allergies are killing me. It feels like I got sandpaper in my eyes right now.
All right. Listen, folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. We are live 8 o'clock on Friday. We will have a recorded show tomorrow. We usually don't. I will try to jump on for the morning show. We're going to change the morning show's time, by the way. We're going to move it. I think we're going to start coming on at 10 o'clock. It's too early. It was nice, but honestly, it's too early. And I think it would be better to be at 10 a.m. So tomorrow we'll probably do it at 8 a.m. And then after this week, we'll move it back to 10. And I think that's a better time slot. It also gets us in before Benny. It puts us in before Charlie Kirk and also Dan Bongino. So you can watch it in between then. Folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hey, new shirt. I forgot to show you this. Got a new shirt for the Dumb Nation. I think you guys might like it. It's pretty cool. Hold on a second. I'm opening it up right now. And I apologize. I wasn't prepared. This is the Dumb Nation.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's the Dumb Nation skull and flag. So it looks really good on a shirt. There it is. Skull and flag. We got coffee cups, sweaters, long sleeve, short sleeve t-shirts, everything available. The Dumb Nation skull and flag. It looks pretty cool on a shirt. So please stop on over there, save 10% with Dumb 10. If you join the Dumb Nation group, you can save 15%. Go to Facebook, sign up for Dumb Nation. At the bottom of this podcast, if you're on Facebook, there's a little teal button. Click that, $1.99 a month. Saves you 15%, plus you get access to our private group. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. God bless. We will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Kevin says he's not calling you tomorrow morning, by the way.
Well, I'm alone. Mike's not here, so it's going to be the Matt show. Mike is coming back next week. Can't wait to see him. And God bless everybody. Thank you. Yes, the Ask the Why shirt. I got to get it made. Have a good one. See you guys tomorrow.
Night, y'all.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show.
And go download Still Point, STIILPOINT. That's the song you're hearing right now. Our boys, Still Point, they're live in Georgia, Atlanta to be specific. Go follow them, listen to them on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere else you can get your music. Still Point, they're amazing.
Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.